All right, this update is brought to you by Toyota Carlsbad. Relaxed and friendly since 1972. We'll start with the Aztecs coming off their win versus UNLV on Saturday afternoon. They are back in the top 25 polls. John is actually really happy today, if you couldn't tell. Number 19 is where the Aztecs are ranked. Next up for the Aztecs, they take on San Jose State tomorrow night, 8 p.m. tip-off on the road. Of course, you can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. And tonight is the national championship game between Michigan and Washington in Houston, Texas. Michigan right now is a 5.5-point favorite. Get smiles when you drive miles when you sell your car to Toyota Carlsbad. Enjoy relaxed and friendly service and get paid the same day because Toyota Carlsbad is looking to buy cars. Details at toyotacarlsbad.com.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It's hour one of Jon and Jim on this Monday afternoon. Really good show lined up for you over the next 3 hours. We'll continue sports wrap with NBC7's Derek Togerson over the next 20 or so minutes. We've got Jared Tolver joining us. We'll talk a little bit about tonight's national championship game, about Sean Lewis on the recruiting trail with J.R. Tolver at 4:15. Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal on the state of Mountain West basketball, which is very good. He will join us coming up at 5 p.m. But we're back. We've got Derek Togerson with us. Over the weekend, yet another Dodger move. Teoscar Hernandez, 1 year, $23.5 million. The rich seemingly continue to get richer. And we talked about Robbie Ray last week. Again, I don't think it's necessarily overly impactful for 2024, but it could be in the second half. And then there are the Padres, who we just continue to wait on. They've had minor moves this offseason. But the Dodgers, I think when you couple the Padres offseason up against the Dodgers and even a little bit with the Diamondbacks, what they've done in the rotation with the Giants, what they've done with Jung-Hoo Lee, and now Robbie Ray, it's hard not to compare yourself to what's going on around the NL West. And the Padres just seem to be falling further behind day in and every single day.
Is anybody surprised by this? Like, is anybody truly surprised that another big-time free agent has gone to the Dodgers for big-time money that will be now deferred from 2030 to 2039,
right?
And that the Padres are still without a center fielder, still without a left fielder, still have no left-handed pitching in their starting rotation. Bench depth is an issue, right? No first baseman. Is anybody surprised? I mean, I saw that signing, and it just the first thing I did was I just go, okay, because it's not surprising that the Dodgers are continuously going to keep adding to this team, because we know, John, like, if they don't win a World Series this year, biggest pie in the face, biggest laughing stock in across all sports because of how much money they spent, how wonky their payroll is because of how much deferred money they took from Ohtani's deal, and how everybody in the sport's like, wait, can you actually do that? And it's kind of crazy because they actually can do that, and they actually did do that. But they have to win. Like, right, Derek? There is no scenario for the Dodgers. If they don't win this year, the World Series, like, who cares if they win 130 games? If they don't win the World Series this year, biggest laughing stock in all sports, right?
I'm very much looking forward to the Atlanta Braves World Series parade.
Me too.
Right down the middle of Cobb County there, and then maybe even downtown there by Mercedes-Benz Dome, which is now nowhere near what Truist Park, whatever the heck they call that thing now. It's not World Series or bust. It's World Series or just go ahead and fold your organization because you can't figure this out, obviously. That's how much pressure is on the Dodgers right now. Is Teoscar Hernandez going to be the same guy he was, 3 years ago when he was getting MVP votes? Probably not. But he's going to be hitting 8th in this Dodgers lineup. And if you got a guy who's going to hit 30 home runs, who's going to hit 8th in your lineup, I think you're probably pretty deep. And yeah, it's not surprising whatsoever, because now what we're seeing is it's like when the Lakers have Kobe and Shaq, and then they go and get Karl Malone, and then Gary Payton's like, oh, sure, I guess I'll go there and just play with all those guys because it'd be fun. This is now the residual effect that we're seeing with Hernandez. Could have signed with 3-4 other different teams on longer-term deals. He's like, I want to go play with those cats for a year just to see what it's like and be part of this. So it's really not surprising, just because they've got all these studs, and other studs want to go play with studs because it's fun that way. But you're right, Jim. I mean, they have got to win the World Series this year. Even if it's win 84 games in the regular season and just get in like the Diamondbacks did and then go and make hay, it doesn't matter what the regular season does. If they don't win the World Series, it's a completely lost year.
I'll be the guy to say, and it's easy to say it in San Diego, but I'll do the good for baseball conversation. We had it last night on the wrap-up show. I mean, if they're going to spend $1.2 million of the $2.4 billion that have been spent this offseason in the sport, you can't tell me that that's healthy. Now, I understand baseball is different than the other sports. This isn't something that's brand new. There have been teams that have dominated off seasons. Mets, Padres, Rangers in recent years would come to mind. But this is like the 2.0 version of that. And when we've seen it in the NFL or in the NBA, at least they're playing within like a structure to the sport where there's workarounds. But this seems to be like the ultimate workaround, only furthered by the Ohtani conversation. Again, we had this conversation, Derek, and you were with us maybe a couple of weeks ago. We said it's one thing to give him the $700 million. Okay, it's understandable. But to defer all of that money is what felt to be the workaround. But I mean, wouldn't you all agree? Again, if I'm a Dodger fan, I'm not complaining. But if you're a fan of the other 29 teams, $1.2 billion for one team, $1.2 billion for the other 29 teams, that can't be good, right?
Well, look, at the end of the day, it's about the owners in the sport, the other owners, not spending money. That's why Peter Seidler was praised every single day in this town for being an owner of a team that was viewed as a small market team and saying, no, I'm going to the big boy table. Like, enough of this crap. I have the money. I want to spend. I don't care what the Rockies or the A's or the Royals say. I'm going to go spend the money. And the problem is all of these other owners in baseball that are the quote unquote small market teams, Rockies, Marlins, A's, they don't have to spend any money. There's nothing in the sport that says they have to spend a certain amount of money. And because of that, why should they do it? And that is the problem with baseball, is that the Dodgers, along with their TV deal, which is what, $8 billion
over 20 years, something like that.
I would love to see. I know the Yankees probably are obviously second,
comparable.
They own their own network.
They own the network. But I want to see what like the bottom half of the league is making from their TV deals, because it's probably not a lot. And that's what's wrong with the sport. You have a team that has an $8 billion TV network that they can go out and they can spend this much money and not have to really worry about it because they're going to make it up in their TV deal. Yes, it's a weird, wonky thing how they're deferring all this money and how no other team in baseball could do it. I don't care what anybody says, Derek. Like, no other team is going to be able to defer the amount of money the Dodgers did, because that's just not possible. It's just not.
Well, any team is eligible to do it. But
Right.
you're right. Having the financial reserves.
Right.
I mean, Magic Johnson is part of the ownership group. He's a billionaire. He's like the third or fourth richest member of the ownership group.
Right.
And he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous how much money they have there. But Darren and I talked about this, and I'll put it the same way to you guys. The biggest problem with baseball is not that there's no ceiling on salaries, is that there's no floor on salaries. You need to make these other owners, like in the NFL, there's a floor. You have to spend a certain amount on payroll every year, which is more or less because of revenue sharing. And the NFL is like, we're not giving you all this money to put in your pocket. You have to put some of this back in because of the national TV deals and whatever. But the other problem is it's not going to change, because in Major League Baseball, the players union is so strong, you're never going to see anything resembling a hard cap. You're not even going to see in the NBA, where there's a soft cap. There's still benefits if you want to keep your own players here, like Jim, with what your Warriors have done for all these years. They can overpay because it's their own guys and Larry Bird rule and all this kind of stuff, but you can't really bring in a whole bunch of other talent from other teams without paying some kind of major penalty, or you simply can't go over a certain number. Baseball will never have that. It's going to be a cap, and the players will forever have the power to deny that. Maybe they can get a floor in place, and that would benefit absolutely everyone, including the fan bases for the 16 organizations that we know on day one of spring training have absolutely no chance of winning a World Series that year. And that's sad.
It is sad. And I would ask this, like, do you agree, as we kind of transition a little bit to, like, Bob Nightingale put out yesterday predictions for the Padres in 2024, and the way he termed it, to me, didn't make any sense, and kind of furthers this narrative that I've kind of established, that I think Bob Nightingale has some vendetta against the San Diego Padres. But he said this, and I think part of it I tend to agree with. The other part of it I don't. He says the Padres' wild spending days are over. This is his prediction for 2024. They don't offer anyone more than $5 million a year the rest of the winter. Again, his prediction, trying to spread out the remaining $20 million in their budget to fill about 6 different positions. He then writes this: their World Series aspirations have melted into the goal of merely qualifying as a wild card contender, which to me is like an oxymoron, because what's interesting is the Diamondbacks were a wild card contender last year. They were in the World Series. Phillies the year prior. There are other examples. The Nationals in 2019 finished 4 games behind the Atlanta Braves. So like
this,
3
the
of the
Florida Marlins or Miami Marlins have won 2 World Series championships. They've never won a division championship.
Yeah, San Francisco's done it as a wild card previously as well. So it's like, okay, I mean, I think he's trying to be critical that they don't have a lot of money and they're being outspent. But if they're just trying to contend as a wild card contender, I think a lot of Padres fans would take that, because if you get in, you'll take your chances.
Bob, it's a stupid thing for Bob to say, because
it doesn't make any sense.
They're not trying to win the division. The Dodgers have the division locked up. No one is under the illusion that they're going to win the National League West outside of LA. You have to get in as a wild card. What? No kidding. Duh, Bob. What are you doing?
Well, don't tell it to Mike Schilt either, because Mike Schilt has aspirations of winning a division.
Right.
The game has changed. Like the sport, with the addition of an extra wild card, with what we've seen the last just 2 years, you get in, that team in the National League has made the World Series with the Phillies, the Diamondbacks, and like we mentioned before, countless teams have won a World Series by being a wild card. So I think he's trying to slight the Padres by saying that. But Bob, bro, it's not about that anymore. You get in and you have just as good a shot as any team to make a World Series and even win a World Series. The goal for the Padres for the next 3-4 years is not only just to get in, but make sure you can build a team to win in those short series versus the Dodgers like you did in 2022. Because that's the goal now. It's not about taking over the Dodgers in the division.
Completely agree.
That would be great. I would be the first person to applaud it if they happen to win a division title, because I still think it kind of means something. I know John's on the other end of that spectrum, but if they don't win a division, it's not the end of the world. It's about making the postseason as a wild card, getting in, playing your way in, and then hoping that you're on a hot streak and you get past the Dodgers in a quick 5-game series when you probably would face them again, depending on where you land as a wild card.
What are the odds there? Let's talk about the odds for 1 second there. Like, what would the odds suggest when we look at Fangraphs projections, which aren't always right, or we look at Las Vegas to start the year? I mean, the odds would suggest there's a better chance these two teams are separated by 20 games than the Padres win the division, unfortunately. But again, you could have a 20-game separation and potentially win 88, 90 games if the Dodgers are going to win 105-plus games in 2024.
Exactly. And does Nightingale realize that since Major League Baseball expanded to have the top 2 seeds getting first-round buys and doing these other 3-game series, the only team that has been one of those top 2 seeds to even reach the World Series has been the Astros. It's always been teams that don't have that big break, that continue playing, that are hot at the end of the season. And yeah, over a 162-game season, you are not the same in April that you are in September. Trade deadline, bringing up prospects, guys get hurt. Any number of things happen. Teams are not as good or as bad. They change their entire mentality and their entire makeup throughout the course of a season. So yeah, while the Dodgers are far and away stacked to make any kind of a run at them in the National League West is stupid, Jimmy hit the nail on the head. In a short series, anything can happen, and we've seen it play out time and time again.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately, that not unfortunately, but that is the goal.
It's fine.
I don't think it's
2022. It was fine.
Yeah, it's about playing your best baseball at the right time, being healthy going into a postseason, and hopefully that you can, like the Diamondbacks did last year versus the Dodgers. Are the Diamondbacks a better team than the Dodgers were last year? No, but the Diamondbacks were the hotter team. They picked off the Dodgers at the right time, and they ended up parlaying that into a World Series run. Hopefully that can be the case for the Padres this year or in the next couple of years. I'm just right now with seeing this roster, guys, it's hard for me to really go on that bandwagon of, Yeah, without a left fielder right now, without a center fielder, without a left-handed starting pitcher, without really much bench help, without a DH, that they can parlay that into a wild card run and make a World Series run.
Well, that's a fair point. And I would say this: would we all agree Mookie Betts is like a future Hall of Famer, right? Multiple time champion. He's been an MVP.
Question.
So you got a future Hall of Famer that in a short series was 0 for 12 because it happens. Because Tony Gwynn could go 0 for 12. It even happened for Tony Gwynn.
Tony Gwynn could never go 0 for 12.
But you get, I mean. What is Tony Gwynn's
ever go
longest
0 for 12?
Does someone know that? Does someone know that? What was Tony Gwynn's longest career 0 for? I guarantee it was 0 for 12.
That's a good stat that I've not seen.
But my point is, if Mookie Betts can go 0 for 12 in a short series, you can have Ohtani and Freeman and Betts and whomever.
Yeah.
But it is a couple of games, and maybe things go your way. There's going to be a lot of pressure. This I know. The way the Dodgers have lost their last 6 postseason games, 3 to the Padres, 3 to the Diamondbacks, not making it out of that divisional round, they're going to have the world of pressure on their shoulders. Not to say it can't be overcome. Maybe they have success in 2024 or beyond, but it's not some coronation. Just because the Dodgers win 100 games doesn't mean San Diego couldn't beat them in the postseason. That's the way I look at it. Again, the odds might be stacked further against you in 2024 than they were in 2022, but it's not like it's an impossibility because it's not.
It's not, but we're a long way from that.
Well, not even San Diego, though. I mean, any team beating them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
course.
Like any team is going to at least have a puncher's chance because it's a baseball series.
Yeah, you telling me that the Braves don't have a puncher's chance? Like, come on.
Exactly.
You don't. You're telling me that if the Phillies were hot at the right time, they don't have a chance?
Right.
You know, like any team in baseball can beat any team in a short series. It's just how it is, how the sport is. Get good pitching, guys go cold, bullpen. That's what happens.
Is this accurate, by the way? He never went more than 8 at bats.
8 at bats.
Tony Gwynn, I just looked up 0 for 19 was his longest stretch of all time. And that was in 1998 when he was battling all kinds of injuries.
And he still hit like well over 300 that year, right?
Before that, he never went more than 4 games without a hit, but he was still getting on base. He would get on base walks.
Just like he was one of the greatest hitters of all time. No big deal.
He was just different.
Yeah,
he was
no
a
doubt.
Different beast.
And the game has changed a little bit with the shift and with power pitchers and the way they use relievers.
Who would shift Tony Gwynn?
No, but you know,
that
I'm
would
saying,
be
he would have to be the biggest moron on the
in general,
planet.
I'm saying it's hard. It's harder to hit for average than. Is that fair? It's harder to hit for average today than it was 25 years ago.
No, it's not harder. Just nobody cares about it because analytics tell us that a single is not as important as going 2 for 4 with 2 singles is not as good as going 1 for 4 with a home run.
Sure,
that's what analytics now tell us. Nobody does it.
Yeah, it's baseball. John.
It's baseball.
It's baseball.
Anyway, at the end of the day, a couple of things. The fact that the Dodgers have spent like this, you say, well, they've won the offseason, but other teams have won off seasons before. Look no further than the San Diego Padres. Now, again, they fall out of bed with 100 wins. They did nothing last year. They won 100 games. So there's no reason really to think that they're all of a sudden going to go 82-80, but that's fine. I'm not worried about it. If it was 1997, I'd be worried because you'd have to win 100-something games to get to the postseason or whatever the rules were in 1993 or 1997. But now that it's 2024, you can't be overly concerned. Although it's like one of those things, you go to the gym, I see Derek, I've made this comp before. If Derek's lifting like 315, what do you bench, Derek? Seems like you're a guy that benches a lot.
My labrum will not allow me to do heavy anymore. I do 5x5, so 5 sets of 225 5 times.
Oh, no big deal.
So I do 5 sets of like the bar.
You can't even do the bar.
So
John.
I'm saying if I go to the gym and I see Derek, it's a little intimidating, but I can't worry about Derek.
You got to worry about yourself.
I'm at the gym.
You got to worry about yourself.
Got to worry about yourself.
Now, at some point, I might have to beat him at the 225, and that might become a problem.
Like, can you do 1 rep?
No.
I'll spot you.
You'll spot me. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'll end up dead if you like are on your,
But you're right. Yeah,
on your phone or something.
But you're right. The Padres have to worry about themselves. It just
and
sucks.
It's not like the cupboard's bare. You've got
Agreed.
future Hall of Famer Manny Machado. You've got Xander Bogaerts, who should come back if he's healthy. You've got Fernando Tatis Jr., who should come back and be something resembling his 2021 self. You've got Ha-Sung Kim, top 8 in WAR in the National League last year. It's not like you have nothing here to work with. You got it, but it's one of those things where now we've reached the point of as long as everyone stays healthy and just plays to their career average numbers or career potential, this is a very dangerous baseball team. The problem is injury, age, ineffectiveness. Somebody has a long skid and there's nobody else behind him who can fill in the blanks. You got 3 holes in the lineup now where there should only be maybe 1 when somebody's not hitting. That's the problem. If everyone just plays as well as they can, this is a very dangerous and World Series caliber baseball team. after last year, I just don't think any of us can go, yes, absolutely, no question. You can pencil these guys in for their career average numbers. That's a little leery to me.
I also think while those things can be true, Derek, as of right now, at this very moment in time, I am very worried still because.
But you're naturally a worrywart.
I am a natural,
but the comp to 2023, it's like, is this roster better than last year's roster?
No.
And of course, the answer is no. Now that's not the end all be all. That's not the end all be all. But it's just like you make that comp and naturally you say, well, they're not as good as they were last year, and last year they weren't good.
Because yes, there's still moves to be made. I am going to think and hope and say that there will be other moves made before spring training or into spring training to potentially get some major league talent on this roster, preferably to fill the spots and holes that they have in left field and center and left-handed pitching and DH. Like I would hope that Preller goes out and makes a move or two for those spots. But as of right now, like I am very worried that with everything that's happening around baseball, you see the contracts that are being handed out. We know where the Padres stand as far as their money goes. I don't see any big time moves happening on the free agent market for the rest of this offseason to fill the needs that they have. And if those needs get filled from internally, like if those are internal players brought up to put in those positions to fill those needs, and say they sign a Jerkson Profar to a low deal, and to start the season in Korea, your outfield is Jerkson Profar, Jacob Marcy, and Fernando Tatis Jr. I'm worried about that.
I mean, I'm probably worried too, but it's rock and hard place stuff. It's like I don't want them spending $28 million on Sean Manaea, and I don't want them starting Matt Waldron.
Yeah,
and it's like, how do you navigate that conundrum and find your next Seth Lugo or Michael Wacha? And maybe those guys are out there, Derek. Maybe they're not, but it just feels like from AJ Preller's perspective, as they he's just had to tighten the purse strings, and that just makes it more and more challenging.
You don't like the knuckleballer?
I do. I
want if he went out there and just threw 55 knuckleballs a game, I would love seeing something like that.
Where'd you get that baseball? You've had there the whole time?
I like
you carry out a baseball all the time with you?
We're talking baseball.
It's like a nervous tick I have.
All right, Derek, where can our listeners right now in San Diego Sports 760 find tonight's Sports Wrap with NBC7?
Check out the Roku channel, called our Fast channel. Just go to NBC7 and check it out. And it's always nice seeing you guys. You listen to these guys all the time on the radio, which I do. But you get to see what they actually look like. And you got some handsome dudes in here. So check this out. Even if you've heard this and you're listening right now, go back and look at it again, because you can see like, oh, you know what? They have kind faces, and I like that.
I like that, Derek. We appreciate it, man. Happy New Year to you.
Derek.
We look forward to seeing you again soon. Jim says I can't say Happy New Year after like January 3rd, but
it's January 8th. It's the national championship.
If you haven't seen someone, though, you get a 15-day window.
Thank you.
15 days?
15 days. All right, Jared Tolver is going to join us coming up at 4:15. We'll talk about the national championship game and Sean Lewis on the recruiting trail. Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal, great voice on Mountain West basketball. He'll join us coming up at 5 p.m. On the other side, Padres fans, are you worried or not as moves are being made around the NL West not involving San Diego? Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right. Does Bob Nightingale actually have a vendetta against the San Diego Padres? Plus, are you worried, Padres fans, or not? And we're getting you ready for tonight's national championship game. Stay with us.
All right, this update is brought to you by Toyota Carlsbad. Relax and friendly since 1972. Aztecs, coming off their big win versus UNLV this past Saturday, are finally back in the AP Top 25 polls, coming in at number 19. Next up for the Aztecs, they take on San Jose State tomorrow night on the road in San Jose, 8 p.m. tip-off time there. Of course, you can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. And tonight is the national championship game between Michigan and Washington in Houston, Texas. 4:30 kickoff time there. Michigan is a 5.5-point favorite in the game. Get smiles when you drive miles to sell your car to Toyota Carlsbad. Enjoy relaxed and friendly service and get paid the same day because Toyota Carlsbad is looking to buy cars. Details at toyotacarlsbad.com.
All right. Did you or not?
Ask me that question again.
Okay. I just said, did you mention San Diego State?
What do you think?
Because I'm guessing yes, but kind of no, because you always like bury a lead.
All right. So in your mind, what do you think my top two stories were today in my
Teoscar Hernandez to the Dodgers on a 1-year deal, national championship game tonight?
Yeah, you didn't listen.
No, I didn't. That's why I'm asking.
I said the Aztecs beat UNLV over the weekend. They're now back in the AP Top 25 polls at number 19.
That's accurate.
Next up, they take on San Jose State tomorrow night in San Jose, 8 p.m. tip-off. I know there's a slide there. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760.
Okay, that's well done. That's what I was asking.
What time's pregame start?
You know what time pregame starts?
I'm going to go with 7:30.
Good job.
That's correct. That's correct.
It changes a
By
lot.
the way, if you're watching on YouTube, this is a very John Schaefer type injury.
You're so soft.
I went to like turn my mic on or off, and there's like a countertop, obviously.
Would you jam your finger?
And I like slam my pinky into the countertop, and I'm like literally like, if I was playing in the national championship game tonight, I'd be questionable now because my pinky kind of hurts. I heard a pop, but I'm gonna go on.
John literally wants to go home right now. He doesn't know if he can continue to talk on the
radio.
radio.
There's a reason why I talk about sports and I don't play sports since I was very little.
Oh my dude,
I was not good. Believe it or not, I was not
have to
good.
have the sports trainer tape you up.
I need to be taped up for the rest of the show.
Are you questionable to return?
I'm gonna stick it out until 6 o'clock.
I have deemed John Schaefer questionable to return with a little bump on his pinky finger.
All right, J.R. Tolver will join us at 4:15. He'll get us ready for tonight. Washington and Michigan, the national championship game. We'll talk some San Diego State recruiting as well with an Aztec for Life, J.R. Tolver at 4:15. At 5 p.m., Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal. There are 5 Mountain West teams right now inside the top 35 in the metrics, and Jeff Grammer, who's a great resource on the Mountain West, will join us coming up at 5 p.m. We were talking about the Padres offseason, what Bob Nightingale wrote about the Padres this weekend, which was, well, they've gone from a team with World Series aspirations to a team that now just hopes to make the postseason. But I'm like, well, that's the same thing, Bob. But the point being, the point that they don't have money and the Dodgers and the Giants and even to some extent the Diamondbacks do, I think that's the greater point. And if your point is, how are they going to finish off this roster? I'm there with you. I don't know. It's like a choose your own adventure. Are they going to spend a little bit? Does it make sense to spend a little bit when you don't have the money? Are they going to look internal to their system? Are those players ready? So I don't know how they finish off this roster, and I have concerns like everyone else. But if Bob Nightingale is right, as we talked about, and they see themselves as a wild card contender, I'm all for that. That's better than seeing themselves as a rebuilder in 2024.
Yeah. The goal is to make it in, be healthy, and playing your best baseball. Like last year, the end of the season was fool's gold. I think we can all agree on that. 82 wins. Didn't really depict how bad last year was because they won, 17 of their last 18 games or something crazy like that.
19.
It was some crazy number. And they missed out by a couple games because Arizona made it in at 84.
Mm-hmm.
But even if the Padres made it in, they were without Joe Musgrove. They were without Yu Darvish. Manny Machado was playing with one arm. Ha-Seong Kim was injured. Jake Cronenworth was injured. There was a lot of injuries on that team. Even if they made it in, Fernando Tatis Jr. was dead tired from playing a full season. So even if they made it in last year, yes, technically they were playing really good baseball, but they were playing a bunch of nobodies, and it just would have felt different. It would have been different, okay? If you get into the postseason, you want to be playing that type of baseball, but with a healthy roster. If you had your healthy roster, then it would have stung more, I feel like, if everybody was fully healthy and clicking on all cylinders.
Dude, yeah. I mean, let's be clear. The fact that they went 17-2 in September with no pressure on tells you all you need to know, because they had real pressure during the season and they couldn't live up to it. Yeah, I'm under no pretense that if they would have made the postseason last year, they didn't have Joe Musgrove. They didn't have Yu Darvish.
No.
Blake Snell can't pitch every day.
No.
Josh Hader can't throw more than 3 outs.
Right.
And Fernando Tatis Jr. was holding on by a string.
And Ha-Seong Kim was injured as well.
So
Manny Machado was injured, needed surgery.
There was no shot last year. Now, would it have looked better? Yeah. I mean, it absolutely would have looked a lot better. In fact, some people say, you know what? It wasn't that bad. They had a winning season.
Oh, I know.
Just their second ever under Preller in a full year. They went 82-8. I'm like, well, that doesn't tell the story. They were, how many games under were they when they made their run? 11 or 12?
Something like that. I think they were 10 games under.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah. But back to Bob's bashing of the Padres.
He does it like, I don't know what is it?
You are fully on this bandwagon of Bob Nightingale.
Bob
hates the Padres.
He legitimately, I think he either hates AJ Preller or he hates the Padres, or both.
Did you see what he tweeted out? I think it was last week. So I've seen it firsthand experience. Bob does not tweet anything that like it's texted to him. He either goes and copy and pastes other people's tweets as his own, or he takes press releases and like cuts them up and puts them out there. Nothing like of Jeff Passan level where he's breaking big time news. He put out a tweet the other week where it's just like such an old man move, where you take a screenshot of your phone.
Oh my God.
But then you forget to crop it. And he posted that on his Twitter. I forget what press release it was, but it was a press release that he like, screenshot it on his phone.
Come on, man.
And he forgot to forgot
that doesn't
to crop
surprise.
it.
That's such a like baseball insider move.
Yeah,
because you're thinking like old, everybody and, like, behind the times.
Everybody gets these press releases. Bob is not some guy that's like privy to only.
I get the press releases.
Yeah,
you get the press releases.
Everybody does.
We all get the press releases.
But again, back to the point of Bob bashing the Padres and claiming that being a wild card contender is no good, bro. Making the wild card, making the postseason as a wild card should stop being looked at as this like horrible thing in the game today. It's going to take us a little while, maybe, for some people to realize that, me, myself included. But going forward in baseball, and we've seen it recently as the last 2 years. I mean, I don't have
Texas Rangers, right?
The Texas Rangers made it as a wild card. The Arizona Diamondbacks made it as a wild card.
Philadelphia Phillies
made it as a wild card.
So 3 of the last 4 teams that played in the World Series, is that right? In the last 2 years, 3 of the 4 teams that have played in the World Series came via the wild card route.
The Washington Nationals made it as a wild card.
Yeah, it's so antiquated. Now, again, I understand it. Would I prefer to win the division? Yeah, probably. Would I prefer to win 110 games than 88 games? Yeah, probably. But I'd also prefer to win in the postseason. Nobody is like, hey, the Dodgers had a better 2022 than the Padres because they won more regular season games. I've never heard anyone say that.
The 2021 and 2022 Dodgers, they said it, not me. They said it. They're failures.
Failure, disappointment.
They deemed the last decade plus, even with their little World Series in 2020,
failure.
As a failure. Because
Ohtani said that when he signed.
Yeah. Winning 100 games and winning every single division title that they have over the last decade plus, they have deemed to be a failure. So think about that. Winning divisions is great. I would love to see the Padres win a division title here. I just would. But at the same time, the sport has shifted to almost essentially just get in and see what happens mode.
Yeah, and listen, you've said this a lot, and I've pushed away from it, but the more I'm removed from 2020, the more I'm willing to discount 2020 because we all experienced it firsthand.
We all knew that was going to happen.
And understand how utterly absurd it was. I mean, you had a trade deadline like 28 games into the season. The Padres turned over a third of their roster. 16 teams made the playoffs. There were neutral site postseason games. There were no days off in the postseason. The whole thing was completely wonky. It just was. And while I'm sure Padres fans wouldn't kick it out of bed if they won the World Series, that's not the way you want to win a World Series. It just isn't. And Dodgers fans, when they lay their head on the pillow at night, think the same thing that I'm saying. That 2020 thing doesn't feel anything like 88 and doesn't feel anything about what it would be like in the future. And everyone knows that.
No, they know that. They understand that. That the Dodgers understand that.
But people will fight that tooth and nail. But then you see the Dodgers organization saying what you just said. The last decade's been an utter failure and disappointment. So I don't understand why people have to stick up for this 2020 thing like it was real.
At this moment in time, John, with this roster that the Padres have right now, are they a wild card team?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Do you?
No, I don't.
No, they got work to do.
I don't. And that's the scary part because it's not like it's just they're the only team that's going to compete for a wild card. I would say right now in the National League, Dodgers winning the division, Braves winning the division, and I'll just throw the Brewers winning the division.
Okay.
All right. You'll have to deal with the Diamondbacks. You'll have to deal with the Phillies. You'll have to deal with the Giants. There's probably going to be another team out there that maybe the Cubs, depending on what they do.
St. Louis going to bounce back.
St. Louis going to bounce back. The Reds have made some moves.
Marlins were quasi good last year.
Marlins were a postseason team last year.
Yep.
So what is it going to look like? The landscape of the wild card hunt going to look like next year? And at this point in time, with the holes the Padres have, it's hard for me to just say and pencil them in right now as a wild card team because of how many holes they still have remaining on this roster.
I agree with you. What do you guys think? 70470. You can start it with team or you can call us 877-767-4760. Again, 877-767-4760. JR Tolver, Aztec for Life, will join us at 4:15. He'll get us ready for tonight, Washington and Michigan. On the other side, is that good? The best and worst of the sports weekend. Next. All right, is that good? The best and worst of the sports weekend, plus J.R. Tolver, the Aztec for life on the national championship game. Will join us at 4:15. All right, back with you on Jon and Jim. I was just reminded that Jim is getting married this year, which is basically more of a responsibility on me than it is on Jim.
I think
because I'm officiating the darn wedding.
Yeah, I think you're more nervous than I am.
I am. I actually thought about it like 2 nights ago. I was thinking about like the upcoming few months. I'm like, this thing is hanging over my head.
Yeah.
As if I'm getting married.
I know. And you're the first person that's going to speak at the wedding, and you have to like not sound like an idiot.
I'd be like, Padres fans that are gathered here today.
The Yankees have a 3-2 lead over the Padres in the 4th inning.
Niners fans that are gathered here today.
I hate you.
Right, exactly.
Dude, you're going to take a 15-minute course on the internet. It's not like you're going to Yale or something.
I know. But you got to like,
talk.
You got to talk. You got to do
It's not like
it.
you talk for a living.
I know, but I got to be like, Jim Marshall Russell. Do you take
Jim Marshall Russell?
Aaron
Lynn Gator.
Marshall.
I don't know. It's just a lot of responsibility.
It's not that much responsibility. Just like, don't F it up.
Exactly. That's a lot of responsibility.
And
Aaron's parents are going to be there. Your parents are going to be there.
Yeah, I know.
It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. People, there will be a lot of people there.
How many people are going to be at this wedding?
As of right now, like we're sending out invitations tomorrow. We have on the guest list like 125, I think.
Oh, that's not too big.
Between 125 and 135.
So out of that group, let's say you get 90%, maybe 110. There's probably some people can't make it.
I would say around 100 is going to show up. Yeah.
100, 110. Okay, I think I can deal with that.
Yeah.
That's still a lot of people.
Yeah, photographer in your face, video.
I'm going to be in all your photos for forever.
Oh my gosh, you are.
That's unbelievable. For the rest of the time, I'm going to be there.
I know. Wow. You are going to be there.
Are you okay with that?
I don't know. You actually made me rethink this.
I don't know if I'm okay. Well, there's AI software. You can just cut me out.
Yeah.
Put like a tree where I am.
Right. We're going to have everybody just cut out. It's fine.
All right, let's get to this.
So the Panthers finished their god-awful season yesterday with a 9-0 loss to the Buccaneers.
Right.
They went 2-15 on the year. Not only did they give their number one pick to the Bears. Congratulations, Brent.
Thanks.
Not too excited about that, are you?
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But this stat is crazy. They didn't have a fourth quarter lead the entire year until the final second of their 2 wins. So not at any point in the fourth quarter until the last second of both of their wins, which were, I think they
Field
won
goals.
9-7 and like
It was like
10s.
17-15 or 15-13.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
12-10 or something. It was crazy. Really weird number. They didn't have a lead at all in the fourth quarter all year long. At any point besides the last second of the game.
Is that good?
Is that good?
No, that's
That's
kind of pathetic. And then you don't
pathetic.
even get rewarded, so to speak, for going 2-15 because you lose your pick.
No first round draft pick this year.
That's a disaster. All right, I'm going to start with San Diego State basketball. We'll get into the Aztecs here in the 4 o'clock hour. But San Diego State, by moving into the AP poll at number 19 overall today, has now been ranked 104 different weeks since the start of the 2010-11 season. That is the most in the state of California. The most times any team in the state of California has been ranked since 2010. Is that good, Brent? Very good.
Very good. The Bills, John, at one point were 6-6 on the year. No, they were 5-6 on the year. 6-6 on the year. Anyway, they ripped off 5 in a row to win the division, and they're the 2 seed in the AFC after essentially being almost out of the postseason for most of the entire year. Is that good, Brent?
Other side of the spectrum, the Eagles at one point were 10-1. They closed 1-5 after suffering that loss to the Niners at home, then losing 4 of the next 5 after that. They allowed 30 points per game over the last 6 games of their season, and they weren't playing great competition. Like yesterday against the Giants, the week before against the Arizona Cardinals. The Eagles go 1-5 down the stretch. They're now a road team in the wild card round. Is that good?
No, it's no good.
No, it's
Are
not
you
good.
kidding me?
It's DEFCON 1 in Philadelphia.
Their season will end Monday night.
It's DEFCON 1. It is not good. And finally, this is sad. This is very sad news. Tiger Woods announced today that his relationship and partnership with Nike has ended after 27 years. Brent, is that good?
It's fine.
It's not good.
What's the reasoning, though? Is it because Nike no longer is really in the golf business?
Pretty much.
Primarily?
Yeah.
It seems like that.
Pretty much.
They don't do clubs.
But what Tiger Woods did for the Nike golf brand over the last 3 decades is
It's a
insane.
lot, but true, but there isn't even a Nike golf brand, I guess, anymore.
Well, not
Is it- or is
anymore.
there?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Not anymore.
That's
But
interesting.
I think just because they just decided that they're not they stopped making clubs, they stopped making everything, like golf balls, all that stuff.
So what's he going to do next? Like the
I saw people were
Marbury brand?
I saw some people putting like fake brands on his t-shirt.
Yeah.
And I thought this would have been funny. Like the Kirkland brand has got into the golf game a little bit. I thought that'd be hilarious if you wore
Why?
like a Kirkland t-shirt.
Why do I not get this?
Because you don't know golf.
shop at Costco.
What's Kirkland?
It's a Costco
Because you don't
brand.
go to Costco. It's not a golf.
I
thing.
have one more. Jaden Ledee, 20 points, 11 rebounds in San Diego State's win over UNLV on Saturday. Per Ken Palm, he is the 2nd most valuable player in the nation right now behind Purdue's Zach Edey. So he's played like an All-American. He's the 2nd most valuable player in the nation analytically per Ken Pomeroy.
Is that good?
I think so. I mean, he is an absolute monster. As Brian Dutcher told us he would be heading into the season, and he's completely lived up to that. What do you got?
Currently, the roof, according to not reports, but just video evidence, the roof's leaking at the national championship game. The roof is leaking.
This is the same site as the national championship game in basketball in April between San Diego State and UConn. Energy Stadium in Houston, where teams are warming up. We're about 50 minutes away from kickoff. Jared Tolver will join us on the other side at 4:15. We'll talk about the Aztecs on the recruiting trail. We'll talk about Michigan and Washington. He was at the Rose Bowl this past week. Then Michigan won against Alabama. We also have the wrap on the other side. Jeff Grammer to talk Mountain West basketball at 5 p.m. But hour 2 of Jon and Jim, that's next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Toyota Carlsbad, relaxed and friendly since 1972. John, my update's going to start with the Aztecs, okay? Aztecs, they beat UNLV over the weekend. They're 2-0 in conference play, and now they're back in the top 25 AP polls at number 19. Next up for the ranked Aztecs, they'll take on San Jose State tomorrow night in San Jose, 8 p.m. tip-off time, 7:30 pregame. You can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760. And we're about 40 minutes away from kickoff in Houston for the national championship game between Washington and Michigan. Michigan is currently a 5.5-point favorite. Get smiles when you drive miles. To sell your car to Toyota Carlsbad, enjoy relaxed and friendly service and get paid the same day because Toyota Carlsbad is looking to buy cars. Details at toyotacarlsbad.com.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It's hour 2 of Jon and Jim. Jared Tolver will join us in 15 minutes. Aztec for life will get us ready for tonight. Michigan and Washington, like Jim said, about 40 minutes away. Jeff Grammer covers Mountain West basketball for the Albuquerque Journal. He is a great resource on the Mountain West. He'll join us coming up at 5 p.m. So there's a lot to get to over the next couple of hours. We're with you until 6 o'clock here tonight. And right now, let's get to this.
Is Jim Harbaugh coaching his final game as Michigan head coach tonight?
Yes, 100%. No doubt about it in my mind. This Michigan team, a lot of players returned for this moment tonight. Next year is going to be completely different with half of their roster gone from tonight's national championship roster. And also, he hired Don Yee to help him and be an advisor.
Yeah, like as an agent or whatever?
As an agent. Yeah. For NFL teams. He's gone. He's going to the NFL. No doubt about it in my mind. I think Jay Glazer the other day reported that, yeah, Jim Harbaugh's gone, along with other multiple people in college football. The question is, where does he go?
There's so many options. I mean, there are so many realistic options, right? There's Vegas. There's LA with the Chargers. Could Atlanta be a possibility?
The place that he has to go, the place that he 100% has to go is the Bears.
Oh, there's the Bears. Yeah.
No, like you go to the Bears, you're going to get Caleb Williams or Penix or whoever you want. You have 2 top, 10 picks in the draft this year?
Yeah, they got 1 in 10.
And they have a massive amount of cap space that they can utilize in free agency. Their defense this year, I think, played well towards the end, right, Brent? Their defense
with
played,
the exception of yesterday.
Well, exception of yesterday, but they held Green Bay to 17 points. Not like the worst.
Yeah,
in the world.
But everybody was wide open.
My point is, the spot to go, he played there. Everybody knows him as being a Chicago Bear. He gets the number 1 overall pick to groom his quarterback. He's got to go to Chicago. Has to.
I mean, here's the thing. I do believe this is his final college game. If you've listened to anything he has said over the last month, it is super bizarre, weirdo stuff.
He's just a weird
just
guy.
hope for a future. I hope for tomorrow. I mean, he has said some very odd things, which leads me to believe, and like you said, he's a very weird guy, especially with the media. This has to be his last game, no matter what Michigan does here tonight. You think about all the scrutiny on Michigan over the last year. He's done. It's over. This is how it's going to end, either in a coronation with a win or they lose a national championship game. But I think this is his last game as the head coach of Michigan. Next question.
Has Bill Belichick coached his final game for the Patriots?
I think so. It's time, Bill. It's kind of passed you by. The way that you did things is not going to work in the NFL anymore. I think, honestly, he should just retire. I don't know if he will, but they got to make a move. I think Bill's done there. I think they're going to end up, having a parting of the ways, mutual parting of the ways. They're not going to make it so Bill was fired. I think they're going to announce that Bill retires and maybe he returns after a year off, but it's time, Bill. It's over.
So here are the last 4 years: 7-9, and then 10-7, and then last year they were 8-9, and then this year the wheels completely falling off. 4-13, last place in the AFC East. It's beyond time. It is. It's past time. Now I think he can still be successful elsewhere.
Mhm.
There's other teams that are going to have interest, whether it's the Chargers, Falcons, maybe others, but it just seems like the right time to do it, probably for both parties,
Yeah.
and that's probably why it will happen.
And don't you agree that they're not going to make it so like they deem this as a firing? It's going to be
No,
Bill
of course
walked
not.
away.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
as it should be. I mean, he's as accomplished as any coach in the history of the sport.
Right.
But it's just probably time, which happens with basically all coaches.
Yeah.
Next question.
Is the NFL making a mistake by putting the Dolphins-Chiefs wildcard game on Peacock?
No, because they need at least some team, like one team, to gain subscribers. If they put
Right.
if they put the Texans Browns on Peacock,
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Well, Browns have
not-
interest, but
they put one of their biggest draws right now in the NFL with
Yeah,
the
Kansas
Chiefs
City.
and Taylor
Taylor
Swift on a Peacock game. There, you have to get Peacock to watch it. That's a smart move by the NFL. The NFL is not stupid.
Well, it's $140 million that NBC is paying for this one game. Are you going to get $140 million in revenue for Peacock?
Probably
Wouldn't you
not.
find a workaround if you were a Chiefs fan, seriously, or a hardcore NFL fan, you want to watch the game?
Yeah.
Would you either go to a bar potentially or just Google, how do I watch this game illegally before putting down the monthly fee for Peacock? Like, what percent of people are going to put down the monthly fee as opposed to finding a workaround
Can't-
for one game?
Can't you just subscribe to Peacock for the monthly fee,
Right,
and then
and
the
then
second the
cancel?
game's over, cancel your subscription?
I think you probably can.
It's not that hard. It's
Yeah.
not like you're locked into a 12-month agreement.
That's a good point.
That's what I would do.
Yeah. And then they know they're going to bank on 75% of people don't cancel,
Hopefully,
right? That's what the
that's what
NFL or Peacock
hopes,
is
yeah.
banking on.
Well, you think they've done some sort of research during the regular season with all the crap games they've had on Thursday night to go, okay, well, when we have good teams on Thursday, people actually tune into Prime and they'll try a Prime, trial to watch the game. Unlike if we just put the, Steelers and the Jaguars or somebody on there, then nobody's going to watch and nobody's going to subscribe.
By the way, there's no free trial. It's $5.99 per month, cancel anytime, or
Oh.
$11.99 per month without ads, cancel anytime. So you're
doing that in a sec.
$5.99 in for the game, but you can cancel anytime.
Yeah, come on. If you are a Chiefs fan, or if you're a Dolphins fan, or if you're just an
No,
NFL
you're probably
fan
right.
and you
They'll
want to
get-
watch this game,
They'll get $1 million
paying
plus.
$6
Yeah.
is not the end of the world.
I agree. All right, next question.
pay $6, watch Seinfeld for a week and shut up.
True.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Then cancel.
Is the Aztecs number 19 ranking too high, too low, or just right?
I think it's fine. Like, I'm not going to bitch and complain about where they're ranked in the top 25.
Why not?
John is.
I do have to give a shout out, though, to one person that in their AP poll put the Aztecs number 10.
Yes.
This man should be celebrated for that. And his name
Oh, yeah. I saw this.
is Luke DeCock.
Luke DeCock
Luke DeCock,
voted for the Aztecs 10th.
10th in his AP poll. So shout out.
So that's the highest.
That's the highest. Shout out Luke DeCock for knowing what's up and giving the Aztecs their respect.
Has anyone ever told you you're an idiot? By the way,
Why?
just kidding.
He's so nervous right now.
I'm not. But here's the thing with 19th overall. There are still 7 of the 63 voters
I know.
that didn't
Yeah.
vote San Diego State in their top 25.
That's just
And of those 7, I think 5 or 6, or maybe all 7, have Gonzaga in their top 25. So the Aztecs are 19th. There's still room for growth should they keep winning. Now, this will not be easy. This week, 2 road games. San Jose State, they're going to be a heavy favorite, although San Jose State gave Boise State a game the other night. But then at the Pit in New Mexico against the Lobos, and we'll talk to Jeff
Tough.
Grammer about that game coming up at 5 p.m. here today. This won't be easy, and that's how this league's going to work. Like, you're not going perfect in this league.
No.
Nobody's going 16-1 in this league or 17-1. You're going to take some losses, but you got to navigate those.
and like I mentioned, I think when you were gone, John, does anybody remember? I know you probably do. Does anybody remember where the Aztecs finished in the AP poll last year before the tournament started?
No, I really don't.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
They finished 18th,
But
by the way.
it's a good talking. Were they 18th?
18th.
And then they finished it at the end of the year. I don't know if there's an AP poll at the end of the year, but there was a coaches poll and they were second.
Well, yeah, because they
finished second place.
But like
it doesn't matter.
That's the point. Is it doesn't? You're right. It doesn't matter. And even if they don't finish the season in the AP top 25,
but they're like a 5 seed somehow or a 6 seed
because their resume would be probably good, hopefully,
mm-hmm.
and the conference is going to help lift up everybody. That's the best part about this season is you got Utah State, Colorado State, you have New Mexico, Nevada, San Diego State.
Yeah,
those 5
Boise
teams,
State,
and even
good
Boise
metrics.
State.
Yep.
Those 5 teams are going to hopefully help lift everybody up just because their metrics are so good.
Yeah, 100%. And the Aztecs, by the way, are playing their best basketball, and it's only January 8th. We didn't know if they'd be healthy this weekend. They were. Yeah. Reese Waters played 22 minutes. Miles Bird played 17 minutes. Jaden Ledee, outside of foul trouble, does whatever he wants. I mean, people are throwing everything at him. Double teams, triple teams, 20 points, 11 rebounds. He falls out of bed there. That's what he's done all year. He's still averaging 21 points, 9 rebounds.
Pretty good.
So this is a team that it's funny. I remember Brian Dutcher last year, maybe in the Sweet 16, then the Final Four, he said this to the national media, and you know what I'm going to say. He said, I think we've got a chance to be better next year, knowing what I know about the roster, than we are right now. Now, make no mistake, he wasn't saying, I think we're going further, because it's a one-and-done tournament, and if the NBA worked like that, there'd be a lot of NBA champions that didn't make it out of the first round, because if you lost game 1, you'd be done, but it's best of 7. So I don't know what's going to happen, nor does anyone, but I think you got to like how this team stacks up, even to last year's team, based on where we are in the season.
What they have this year that they didn't have last year was, 1, Jaden Ledee playing at his full potential, and 2, when they go into scoring droughts, because they went on a lot of scoring droughts last year.
Yeah, that hasn't really been the case as much this year.
When they need a bucket, they not only have 1, but they have 2, potentially 3
Waters
guys
has been a bucket this year
that can get you a bucket. Like that.
Mike has been a really good scorer, Micah Parrish.
Darion Trammell has come on lately, and he's healthy, so that's a good sign. But if you need a bucket with this team, Jaden is more often than not going to get you that bucket. Reese Waters as well. And that's what last year's team did not have. I think last year's team defensively was better than this year's team just because of the size they had down low and the amount of people that they could throw at you with length and size that this team does not have. But this team that last year's team didn't have is the scoring. And they have guys that can give you a bucket when you need one. And it's the best thing in college basketball when you can have a guy down low, post up, give him the ball, and more often than not, he's either going to go to the free throw line or he's going to get you a bucket.
Yeah, he drew 8 fouls on Saturday, which is something he basically does every game. But I also like this. San Diego State, we always talk about they're slept on to some extent. They're in the, Western time zone, corner of the country, Mountain West. They don't get respect. They're on national TV. I'm talking about like CBS, or Fox 4 times in 5 weekends, including last Saturday. This Saturday against New Mexico, next Saturday at Boise State, and then 2 weeks after that at home against Utah State. So the Aztecs have earned that. They made their run last year. They're on national TV 4 out of 5 weekends. That's kind of like a spot that Gonzaga traditionally has been in, or Big Ten teams like Michigan and Ohio State. You see on national TV on CBS. Well, that's San Diego State here in January and February. I think that's pretty cool.
More national exposure, the better. And if they keep winning, when they have this national exposure, then they're going to be viewed by more people and they're going to be put up in the rankings if they keep winning. So, yeah, it's good to come off a national championship run for sure and be a really good basketball team as well.
I like that breakdown. That's a Jim fact.
Yeah,
like
it's very much of a Jim fact.
We'll see if we can catch up with J.R. Tolver, who I think is going to be at some type of watch party event coming up for this Michigan-Washington game. Regardless of whether we catch up with J.R. or not, this game's starting in about 30 minutes. To get into it a little bit, you got this Michigan team that hasn't lost against this Washington team that hasn't lost. They're both going to be in the same league next year.
Big Ten championship game tonight.
I lean here in this game. I've watched a lot of Michigan this year. They're very good. Their defense is elite. They just find a way on offense. But I typically think in big games, college or pro, I'm leaning on best quarterback. Like Mahomes versus whomever. You're thinking, well, Mahomes is probably going to outshine that quarterback. Therefore, it gives the Chiefs a chance, even though they've been down a little bit this year. I'm thinking Penix against J.J. McCarthy. I get it. Michigan might have the better roster. I'm leaning towards the underdog Washington tonight solely because of their quarterback, who's been the best quarterback maybe in college football this year.
The disparity between the quarterbacks here, it feels like a Grand Canyon size disparity in my mind. And Michael Penix, I don't see how he doesn't get drafted in the top 10 next year.
He should be based on what he's done.
And JJ McCarthy, while he's had a nice season at Michigan, doesn't seem like a first round quarterback to me. If anything, it's like third round, maybe fourth. Like it's at best late second if he plays really well tonight and puts some stuff on tape. But you look at Washington, they have the better quarterback. I would say they have the better skill guys besides the running game. Maybe you could say it's a push. I mean, Washington does not have just not any average running back. And he's going to play tonight, by the way.
Yeah, he's going to play. And they got as good of a receiver as there is in the nation.
First round draft pick, probably top 15 pick.
Yeah.
They have one of the best offensive lines in college football. They have a left tackle who's going to be a first round draft pick. It's what Michigan does up front compared to the Washington offensive line, which is going to determine the game, I feel like.
It just feels like to me, just from a betting perspective, and I mean, again, who knows? 5.5 points on a neutral field for Michigan feels like a lot of points to me against a Washington team that's just like a team of destiny. Now, I get it. They haven't been overly sexy in terms of they don't blow the doors off people. They don't beat everyone by 30 points, nor does really Michigan. I mean, Michigan kind of wears you down, beats you 20-10, 27-13. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be relatively low scoring. I'm not thinking 17-13, but like 28-27 or lower is what I'm thinking. Actually, that's the total's 55. So they're thinking 28-27 as well or something like that. I just hope it's a really good game. The Rose Bowl was an unbelievable game. The nightcap with Washington, Texas was a really good game. Mm-hmm. I hope we get a good game because that would be 3 playoff games, 3 really good games, which is something like we've never gotten in the playoff era. 3 really good games.
I would be shocked if it's a Michigan blowout tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
Shocked.
If you look at the history with Jim Harbaugh, dating back to his time in the NFL with the 49ers and then going to Michigan, every single big game that he has coached in, he's won a couple for sure. He beat Alabama. He's been to a Super Bowl. Like he's won big games. Stanford, right? More often than not in the last decade plus when he's in a big game, something goes wrong. There is always something in those games that is just wonky, weird. It's never perfect. There's always a miscue. There's always a weird, special teams play. Jim Harbaugh's coach teams in big time games, something always just kind of off.
I would agree with you, other than the narrative flip of beating Ohio State 3 straight years. You can't underestimate how big it is.
But no, you're right. But I'm talking like
you're right. The semifinals.
The semifinals.
They've had 2 bad losses, but now, they won last. How about the game they just beat Alabama?
I know. I understand that, but they also had some major problems on special teams.
They did. Huge. They easily could. How about the last play of the game almost?
Oh my God.
It was like fumbled into the end zone.
It was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying that Michigan's going to lose tonight.
You just think that they'll keep the other team in it because it's just who they are.
They're just whatever team that Jim Harbaugh coaches in big games.
That's fair.
He's won big games for sure.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. I'm just saying there's always something wonky that happens.
By the way, also reported today as we get ready for a national championship game, there's 2 things we're supposed to get tonight that should excite Brent and Jim. One of which is an official release date for EA Sports College Football 2024.
Well, way to ruin my back page.
Not a trailer. Oh, I've just ruined your whatever. You got an hour and a half. I don't think we're expecting a trailer.
We're expecting an announcement date.
Some type of announcement, maybe some screenshots, maybe something, but I don't think it's a full-blown trailer. That's
maybe
what people are saying.
Cover athlete.
Maybe that. So that's one thing. But here's the other thing that's being reported this afternoon, that ESPN and the playoff are in discussion on an 8-year extension to their TV deal. Now, remember, this goes to 12 teams next year. It was already with ESPN for 25 and 26. They're now negotiating an 8-year extension. Listen to this. ESPN currently pays the NCAA $600 million per year. I think I have this right, to air these 3 games. $600 million per year. The number is expected to inflate in the expanded playoff to $1.3 billion.
Is that a lot?
So it'll be like 2.25 times where it is right now. There was some speculation Fox wanted to get into this. What I like for the play, here's what I would do if I was in charge. Nobody's asked me, but they can call. Here's what I would do. I'd make it like the NFL. I want some games on CBS. I want some games on Fox. I can put a game on ESPN. If the NFL playoffs were all on CBS, wouldn't they be missing out on promotion and publicity? It wouldn't be on Fox. It wouldn't be on NBC. It wouldn't be on ESPN. Don't you feel like college football would be better served to have, hey, maybe the opening round games are on NBC and then the quarterfinals are on CBS?
Like an NFL type of thing?
Yeah, I just feel like that would better serve the sport potentially than just going with one property. Everything is on ESPN. Isn't that somewhat close-minded?
Isn't that kind of what some fans have been kind of complaining about is, I wish I'd go back to when everything was just on,
Maybe
3 networks.
and
now
I don't need
everything's on.
Peacock.
Yeah, we have to get Peacock and Amazon
Yeah,
Prime and everything else. So maybe they're just trying to simplify it.
Well, guess what? Whatever network
Or
pays
they're
the
trying
most
to hoard
money,
the money.
It's
whatever-
going to be the one that gets it.
right? So if ESPN dishes out the most money, guess what? It's going to be on the ESPN networks, ABC, ESPN. If it's
Food
Fox,
Network.
it's Fox.
Food Network.
Fox is going to pay the most money, then they're going to be on Fox, right? It's whoever pays the most money, and that's what college football is about now. It's money first. Whoever pays the most gets the big time games and the playoffs and all of it.
Mark this for when I'm right or wrong tomorrow, Brent. This can be the open. I like Washington plus 180. I never give out betting advice
money
ever.
line.
I like Washington money line plus 180. There's value there. They should not be a 5.5 point underdog. They haven't lost all year like Michigan. It should be a close game, like Jim just said. Why not take the value of plus 180 as opposed to the minus 210 Michigan Wolverines?
Tell you what, we should have listened to Chris Hodge. Now
He liked Washington 7-1.
It could blow up in our face, right? Michigan,
Yeah, but he could have hedged it probably.
maybe.
Yeah,
But man, that 7-1 before the playoffs started.
I know. $100.
Looking real good right now.
We'll see. We'll see how this game turns out.
You're thinking to yourself, man, Washington's going to be with their running back tonight, which is a big concern for them.
Mhm.
He practiced in full this week. They say he's 100% go. Penix, man, that's such a good bet that we all missed out on.
All right, we'll keep you updated. This game's going to get underway at some point in the next 20 minutes or so. On the other side, as unique of a back and forth with an NFL player as you're ever going to hear. Okay.
I love
Plus, later this hour, an NFL Wildcard preview. We've got those 6 games set kicking off Saturday afternoon. And Jeff Grammer from the Albuquerque Journal will talk Mountain West basketball with us and San Diego State hoops coming up at 5 p.m. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, hey guys, what's going on? It is Schaefer for our friends over at Windmill Farms. This is your spot during your work week to pick up your affordable lunch on the go. You have to get over there. Easy parking. You can get in and out quickly. And with the sandwich card, your 8th sandwich is free. That's right. You heard me right. Your 8th sandwich is free at Windmill Farms. They have fresh, high-quality ingredients, everything you could possibly imagine. You need to see this deli. Everything you could possibly imagine. And they really pride themselves as well on keeping their prices incredibly, incredibly low. This is your grocery store. They've been serving San Diegans for over 20 years. Trevor and his family, they've been in the grocery business, working with local businesses for now into a 3rd decade, whether it's Harris Ranch, Mr. G's Salsa, they support local business. They've got what you need from a grocer perspective. Organic farm fresh produce and meats, amazing craft beer, amazing selection of craft beer, kombucha, the deli, much, much more. They're centrally located off Del Cerro Boulevard, right across the freeway from Montezuma Mesa, and they're family-owned, again, serving San Diegans for 20-plus years. If you don't live or work near Del Cerro, you can still find Windmill Farms on Instacart because you can have your groceries delivered directly to your doorstep. What is better than that? It's so easy and convenient, and they've got weekly specials that are updated each and every week at windmillfarmsmarket.com. You can find them on Instagram as well. Shop local, shop at Windmill Farms.
All right, this update is brought to you by Toyota Carlsbad, relaxed and friendly since 1972. Aztecs, they returned to the top 25, coming in at number 19. They beat UNLV over the weekend at Viejas Arena. Next up for the ranked Aztecs, they take on San Jose State tomorrow night on the road in San Jose. 8 p.m. tip-off. 7:30 is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. And we're pretty close to kickoff here in Houston between Michigan and Washington. Michigan is a 5.5-point favorite. Get smiles when you drive miles. To sell your car to Toyota Carlsbad, enjoy relaxed and friendly service and get paid the same day, because Toyota Carlsbad is looking to buy cars. Details at toyotacarlsbad.com.
All right, Jameis Winston. I think back to the start of the college football playoff. Did he not win the first ever college football national championship game in the semifinal era?
With Florida, yes.
State, right?
Florida
they
State.
did. I think they won the first. So that feels like
Who'd
a
they beat?
lifetime ago.
Could they be not Clemson?
Look that up. Was it Oregon?
Was it Oregon?
I think it might have been Oregon.
Was it Oregon?
Brent's looking that up. I think the first year of the playoff might have been Florida State against Oregon.
He had a good game.
It was about a decade ago.
Maybe.
Anyway, here's my point. He's been a bit polarizing from Florida State into the NFL, has he not?
Dude, when he gets a mic in front of us, he's amazing.
He really is. He's interesting.
It's fantastic.
They beat Auburn.
They beat Auburn.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. But yesterday, meaningless garbage time touchdown, right, for the Saints.
So they were up 41-17. They then
That is still BCS too, by the way.
The Saints then got an interception, returned it to the 1-yard line with
under a minute to play.
The game's over.
Mm-hmm.
And Dennis Allen calls victory formation. But Jamal Williams, who actually led the league in touchdown rushes last year, 17, has not had a rushing touchdown all year for the Saints. And so the players on the field decided, instead of victory formation, we're going to line up in victory formation, but we're going to hand off to Jamal Williams to get him a touchdown, his first of the year,
right?
Which they did. And then the Falcons head coach,
who's been fired,
just went on this loser tirade, just bitching and cussing out Dennis Allen in the middle of the field, like, be any more of a loser.
But is it the one thing I'll take exception now that you mentioned it is they did it out of the victory formation is how they scored?
Yeah.
It's a little soft, isn't it? As opposed to just lining up for traditional play and scoring.
I go back to when the Patriots were kicking everybody's ass in 2007 and they're putting up 50 points a game.
Just stop them theory.
And Bill Belichick said it perfectly. Like, if they're not going to stop us, we're going to continue to score. It's the NFL.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's pro sports.
Like, there's no...
Who cares at the end of the day?
This isn't like Little League. This isn't like Pee Wee football. It's the big boys.
True, but running it out of the victory formation?
I really don't care. They were down 41-17. It wasn't like they were up 24-17 with like 20 seconds left and the game was over. They were up 41-17.
The game was over.
The game was over.
Yeah.
Get upset that you gave up 41 points, not that they scored the final 7 to make it 48-17.
All right, so Jameis Winston was asked about this in a back and forth with the media post-game. Listen to this.
Do you think we regret that?
Well, you do have to play these guys twice a year. That's all I'm saying.
We already played them twice.
I know, but I'm talking about the future. You know, somebody's got to play these guys twice a year. That's all.
How do you feel about it? Tell me how you feel about it.
Not good.
Why don't you feel good about it?
Because you got to play these guys twice a year.
But what about it makes you not feel good about it?
The head coach tells you to kneel it up. You're asking my opinion?
Yes.
I think you should have kneeled it up.
Okay. Well,
I'm just telling you as respectfully as I can. You answer my question as respectfully as you could, and I'm telling you as respectfully as I can that I respectfully disagree with you. That's all.
You disagree with me or the entire team?
Whoever made that decision.
Okay. So you disagree with the entire team. So thank you.
No, I'm just being honest and respectful.
And that's what I'm attempting to do too. And that's what I am doing. So, yes.
That is the dumbest back and forth I've ever heard, actually.
That is so cringe, dude.
It's very cringe.
Dude, when the guy's like, oh, you have to play them twice a year, I'd be like, so?
Well, first of all, he doesn't have to do anything. It's football. Who knows if Jameis Winston's even there?
Dude.
Everything changes from one year to the next, including head coaches.
I mean, Arthur Smith, to have that be your lasting image before
your
you get
time.
before you get rightfully so fired a couple hours later is such an embarrassing look. And whoever this reporter is, by the way, why do you care? You're not on the team.
I know. I know. Are you a fan? Who cares?
Like, what do you
got to play him twice a year.
And it's not
so
like
what?
this is some high school team or something where you're rubbing it up. It's the NFL. Who cares?
Yeah, I guarantee you, probably none of those players on the
We'll
Falcons
even remember this a year from now.
don't care. It's only Arthur Smith who is a loser as a head coach.
The Falcons will have a new head coach next year.
It
Do you think this
doesn't
is their
matter.
big priority in 2024?
That's going to
doesn't
be their
matter.
first interview question.
Right. Do you think we need payback after they scored a touchdown in garbage
Payback.
time out of the victory formation?
But anyway,
Man, Arthur Smith was hot. And by the way, whoever was commentating
Mhm.
on TV was like backing him. He's like, he's got a right to be hot.
can we stop being such
That's what he
like
said.
babies? It's the professional.
I know.
It's the NFL. Chill. Like,
Think about last year.
Oh, my
Georgia beat
gosh.
TCU in a national championship game 70-7, didn't they?
Georgia just beat Florida State when Florida State was playing fourth stringers 63-3.
What are you supposed to do? I mean, these guys want to play.
Like, it's professional sports. These guys are being paid millions of dollars out there. The notion should be, and I don't know why it isn't around all of professional sports. If you're not going to stop us, we're going to continue to beat it, like continue to score points. That's it. Stop us, or we're going to score. Especially when we're at the 1 yard line, and we want to get this guy a touchdown. If the guy, and Jameis Winston made a good point earlier in his press conference.
Mm-hmm.
So if the guy that intercepted it for the Saints ended up walking into the end zone, is Arthur Smith still like butthurt about it?
Is there any? Okay, I go back to last year at the Padres. There's Kershaw meme gate, right? Remember Kershaw meme gate? A lot of people said not a big deal. Other people said, well, you just don't mess with like sports ethos and karma.
That's different up there.
I know it's all different. It's all, but remember you said that day, like, who cares? No bearing, no factor.
Well, players did care,
But they did care.
and they were like,
They really did care. Now, I think there's difference because it's the final game of the regular season. Who really will care next year? Now, they do. Okay, they're in the same division. Okay. But I don't think the difference next year in this series is going to be that play.
no.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's going to be the difference when these two teams play. But there's something about, like, I don't know, sports karma.
What did you make of Shannon Sharp saying that Jameis Winston should have been cut or
That's
should
the
be
dumbest
cut?
thing I've
Right?
ever heard.
Yeah, so stupid.
That's just stupidity.
Like what?
Again, Jameis Winston is interesting. I would say this. I do think he's misunderstood. If you've ever watched like the mic'd up NFL films, Jameis Winston stuff, he's an amazing leader. Like, I really do think he has the command of his locker room and his team. I think he's an amazing leader. I think he's completely misunderstood. I kind of give him credit for his honesty, even there with that reporter.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing he didn't want to, like, punch that guy.
I don't know if I would have handled it as good as Jameis Winston handled it.
That's what I'm saying.
I think I would have told that reporter to like shut up and
he's like, you
leave.
play him 2 times a year. I was like, no, we did play him 2 times. That was the second game.
I'm like, are you stupid?
That
Like,
was
what are you
hilarious.
trying to get out here? Are you trying to get are you a fan? Like, where's your jersey at?
So, okay, is there anything then? So let's just take this back to baseball for 1 second. Padres Dodgers. Let's say it's May 19th. Just hear me out for a second, right? Hold on. It's pro sports.
Okay.
If you can score, you can score. Padres are up 9-0 in the, I'm just making it up, top of the 8th inning at Dodger Stadium. Tatis at first, not holding him on. He runs. And then on a single, okay, so now he's at second. Okay, it's 9-0. Okay, now he's at second, 8th inning. Let's say there's 2 outs. There's a base hit to left where a lot of teams in that spot just hold a runner at third. Now he's going right through. He's just running as hard as he can. He scores. So it's a stolen base, not being held on. One unwritten rule. Now he's running at second base in a 9-0 game, trying to give a guy an RBI to make it 10-0.
What's the score again?
9-0.
What inning?
8th.
I'm cool with it.
So, but 9-0 in the 9th inning. 10-0 in the 9th inning.
Dude,
I mean, give me any score.
Especially against the Dodgers with their firepower. Bro, pile that thing on, man.
Okay, that's why I'm
I
asking.
pile it on. If the Padres were up 18-0, okay.
So it's got to be 18.
I'm just throwing an exaggerated number out there. But if you're up 9-0 in the 8th inning against that lineup, if they still have their starters in,
Right.
and I'm sure they're going to put up a lot of points this year. Or not points. I'm watching football.
I remember my first time watching
I know.
baseball.
I'm an idiot. A lot of runs. I'm sure they're going to put up a lot of runs this year.
Yeah, they're going to. hit that home.
A lot of goals.
And they're gonna
Oh,
that
my
home
God.
base is gonna be.
Here we
They're gonna be
go.
hitting that
Here
thing
we
all
go.
the time. And
Here we go.
man, and I think
Gonna
that
lead
some
the
of the
league
guys
with
are gonna
hat
be using
tricks.
metal
I
bats.
hate you all.
Those new bats they have are gonna be awesome.
I'm
What's the rule? How many outs per inning?
stop it.
Okay.
I'm looking up at the screen here, and there's the football game on.
They're
Anyway,
gonna be scoring a lot of points.
a lot of runs, a lot of points, a lot of runs.
All right.
If
I don't
the-
even know what my point is. You're saying pile on, it's pro sports. Even if it goes the other way, Dodgers up 10-0 on the.
If one team's up 10-0 in the ninth inning, then the whole like stealing a base thing that would make me upset.
But isn't it the same thing?
No, because you're just score. I mean, you're not doing any like trick plays, or you're literally just giving the ball to the running back at the 1 yard line,
Right.
and he scores a touchdown.
It was kind of trick-ish though. If they're in victory,
You're not
formation.
like at the 50 and you run some
Hail
crazy
Mary.
lateral and then you throw it for a touchdown. You're at the 1
JD
yard
Gaucho
line.
said Ohtani will be hitting a lot of threes this year, Jim.
That's, I'm sorry. I was looking up the screen. I saw that the national championship game's on, and I immediately went to points in my head. I'm an idiot.
All right, we'll get you ready for the World Series game on the other side.
Stop.
Just kidding. An NFL wildcard preview for you on the other side. The 6 games are set. We'll run through all of them, plus Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal. He'll talk Mountain West Hoops with us coming up at 5 p.m. San Diego State back in the AP poll, along with 2 other teams in the Mountain West. Jeff Grammer will join us at 5. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, we will preview NFL Wildcard Weekend, plus Jeff Grammer from the Albuquerque Journal. We'll talk Mountain West basketball with us coming up at 5 p.m. All right, so if you don't have a rooting interest tonight, Washington and Michigan, you live in San Diego, you're thinking, well, I don't really have a rooting interest. Could you be convinced of something that actually Jim just alluded to me, which is that 2 San Diego State coaches on Sean Lewis's staff are on Washington's coaching staff right now, including San Diego State's defensive coordinator in 2024. So 2 defensive coaches with the Huskies will be joining San Diego State, presumably like tomorrow or a couple of days after tonight. So there's my play. There's my play.
Man, this is we were also talking about this during the break. Usually the last couple of years, it's like Alabama, it's Georgia.
Oh, yeah, always.
You know, hey, these teams won a national LSU.
Clemson.
Now LSU hadn't won a national championship game in a while.
Is that they've won a few, man.
Well, they've won a few for sure.
Yeah, Saban had one.
But the great thing about tonight's game is the last national championship for both of these teams were back in the 90s.
Yeah, it's true. It's been a while. 91
for Washington, 97, and it was a split for Michigan. So one of these teams is going to end a pretty sizable drought, couple decade drought, and it's going to be cool to watch for sure. It's not the Alabamas, the Georgias of the world, right? It's SEC. It's 2 Big Ten teams now, and one team that could send out the Pac-12 on the highest of highs
in the
weirdest year ever.
The one more weird tidbit here is this could be potentially the first of 3 meetings between Michigan and Washington this calendar year. Tonight, they'll meet in the regular season next year in the Big Ten. And then conceivably, again, it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world, they could meet again in the Big Ten championship game. Well, shoot, they could meet 4 times. Then they could meet in the expanded playoff next year as well. So this is the first of at least another game or 2 potentially in 2024. All right, NFL playoffs. Wildcard weekend. Do we have music? We do.
All
right, let's run through these games in order with about 60 seconds on each game, beginning with Saturday's thrilling Texans-Browns game at NRG Stadium, where the national championship is right now, 1:30 Pacific on NBC. The Tekkens with CJ Stroud are in the postseason against the
Brownies?
The Brownies of Cleveland with Joe Flacco.
And the Brownies.
Who do you like in this one?
It's been a great year for Houston, the Tekkens.
Tekkens are so good.
Who's the offensive rookie of the year? CJ Stroud or Puka Nacua?
CJ Stroud has to be.
Even though Puka Nacua set a rookie record for receiving yards and receptions.
This team's in the playoffs. They won like 2 games last year.
I agree.
It's a quarterback.
With all that, great year. D'Amico is he's a star in the making. The Browns defense is legit. I think the Browns win this game.
All right, Browns on the road.
Wait, are we picking games right now? We're just going through
I'm just asking for your 2 cents.
We don't really pick games
We're
here,
not
but
picking, right.
We just go through it.
The second game on Saturday, the second of 2 games Saturday, Miami, the Dolphins at Kansas City. Now, Miami has been awful against good teams, but they've got their prolific offense. Kansas City does not have that prolific offense. This game is at 5 o'clock Pacific, Saturday night on Peacock.
Get your subscriptions now.
Right.
Just $5.99 and then cancel afterwards.
That's right.
It's up there as far as like matchups that you're excited about to watch this weekend, because you got Tyreek Hill returning to Kansas City. Can Kansas City put it together? Like Patrick Mahomes potentially going to be playing a road playoff game for the first time in his career if they beat
win
the Dolphins this weekend. And then Taylor Swift will be there, and it's a good matchup for sure. It's better than I think Kansas City and Pittsburgh, which potentially could have been.
It's going to be a rematch of November 5th when the Chiefs won 21-14.
Okay.
That was in London?
Yes.
That was in London,
yes.
yeah.
This game will not be played in London.
No.
All right, Sunday, triple header.
John Fact.
Kicking off 10 a.m. Pacific. The Steelers are in. They'll be at the 2 seed, the Buffalo Bills on CBS Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Pittsburgh was kind of left for dead 3 or 4 weeks ago, weren't they?
Yeah, but they're going to be without TJ Watt this weekend.
That could be a factor.
Could be.
Could be.
He's like one of, if not the best defensive players in the NFL. Guy's insane.
But will they need him? Probably.
Yeah.
On the road against Josh Allen and the Bills?
Oh, yeah, the Bills. The Bills Buffalo? I think the Bills are weird. Either I see them in the AFC Championship game versus the Ravens, or they could lose to the Steelers. Like they're such a all or nothing team. And there's the roller coaster ride with Josh Allen every single game is an experience for sure. but I don't see the Bills losing this one, right?
Right now, it's Bills by 10.
Oh
Wow. Big number.
You don't have faith in Mason Rudolph?
All right. The second game on Sunday at 1:30 Pacific on Fox is a game that's going to have a huge television number. The Cowboys hosting the Green Bay Packers,
Which is also going to be right here.
right here on San Diego Sports 760 as well. Packers, Cowboys, winner goes to San Fran. Michigan is taking a 7-0 lead, by the way.
They just ran it down their throats.
Yeah,
It
5-minute
depends who
drive. What's that?
It depends who wins.
Oh, right, because they
Because
reseed in the NFL.
the lower seed will go to San Francisco. So if Green Bay would pull the upset, Green Bay will go to San Francisco.
Gotcha. All right. Green Bay, Dallas, 1:30.
That's going to be a massive numbers game.
Huge.
What do you think is going to draw the most like the biggest number this weekend? That game, yeah.
Yeah, over the NBC game, over the Lions, Rams.
125
which you
kickoff.
you can hear right here on San Diego Sports 760 as well.
Packers, Cowboys. It's
Lions,
massive.
Rams is compelling just because of the quarterbacks, obviously, with
Well,
Stafford going back to Detroit.
It's the Lions' first playoff game since I was like 13 or
They-
maybe 11. What was it, 91?
No, they've been in a lot. They just haven't won. Oh, yeah. They've lost 8 consecutive playoff games.
Their last playoff game was actually against the Cowboys, Matthew Stafford, and it was in Dallas. I remember that game.
Yeah, their playoff history, right. That was in 2016.
Yeah.
No, that was actually at Seattle, so you're wrong.
Oh. I remember they played the Cowboys one year.
Yeah, they've been in 16, 14, 11, 99, 97, 95.
They haven't
Their last
hosted.
win was 91.
They haven't hosted a home playoff game. That's what the thing is.
Maybe. Okay, and then the final game is Monday Night Football,
Maybe, that's right.
ESPN, Eagles and Bucks. Eagles are left for dead. They
Really?
have no hope. I don't see it. I don't see it. 1-5 their last 6. Their defense has been a sieve
I don't
see it.
I would say that if they were playing anybody else
Other than
but
Tampa.
Tampa.
But it doesn't even matter who the Eagles are playing. Cardinals, Giants, give me a break.
Tampa, dude, Baker, you trust Baker?
Do you trust Baker or you trust the New York Giants or the Arizona Cardinals?
Baker, I don't know, man. I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles won, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles lost. But I don't think it's like they're done.
They're done. They're done.
I don't know, man.
Getting blown out by the New York Giants.
Here's my worst case scenario here. Is if everything holds serve in the NFC, and then Eagles beat the Bucks. Then I'm gonna go to playoff massacre 2.0 at Jim Russell's house.
This is different. This is different.
Eagles,
Yeah.
Niners in the playoffs again.
But the Niners are going to win that game by 17 points.
But it still would be I would hate it. Because I don't want to play the Eagles again, not because I don't think they can beat them. It's because I don't want to deal with like me and Aaron not talking.
Yeah, I don't know if the Eagles are thinking that same way. Like,
They
hey,
don't
let's just
care.
lose the game because there's a guy in San Diego that's engaged to someone that's an Eagles fan. But honestly, if the Niners get the Eagles, they're fortunate to get the Eagles based on the way they played here down the stretch.
Yeah, the one team I do not want to face is the Rams.
Interesting. All right, on the other side, Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal. The Mountain West is having a banner year. 5 teams right now inside the top 35. 5 potentially projected to get to the NCAA tournament. Jeff Grammer does a great job covering Mountain West basketball. He'll join us next on Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Toyota Carlsbad. Relax and friendly since 1972. National championship game underway in Houston. Michigan out to an early 7-0 lead over Washington with about 7:30 left in the first quarter there. And the Aztecs, coming off their win versus UNLV on Saturday afternoon, are back in the top 25 polls at number 19. Next up for the Aztecs, they take on San Jose State tomorrow night on the road, 8 p.m. tip-off, 7:30 pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. Get smiles when you drive miles. To sell your car to Toyota Carlsbad. Enjoy relaxed and friendly service and get paid the same day because Toyota Carlsbad is looking to buy cars. Details at toyotacarlsbad.com.
It's John Schaefer and Jim Russell.
I can't wait for the start of the season. I can't wait to see how they finish out this roster. Even though the expectations are completely different for me, it feels different than it felt a year ago, but hope springs eternal.
I mean, my expectations, John, is still like you spend all this money. Their payroll is still going to be fairly high compared to past.
Mm-hmm.
If you end up with a payroll at 190 million or 192 or whatever the case may be million, like you're still hovering around top 10 payroll. You're expected to not only make the postseason, but make a run of the World Series.
I know, but those aren't those aren't my expectations.
Time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is the final hour of Jon and Jim. We'll have an Aztec rewind coming up for you at 5:30. We'll keep an eye on this national championship game between Michigan and Washington underway in Houston at Energy Stadium, site of the Final Four last year that San Diego State was playing in. And it's great right now to catch up with Jeff Grammer from the Albuquerque Journal, talking about the success the Mountain West is currently enjoying once again in basketball. 5 teams in the top 35 or so in the metrics, 3 teams right now in the AP top 25. So, Jeff, we always appreciate your time and your coverage, a great resource for Mountain West basketball fans, including fans of the Aztecs. I'll just start with this. I know it's only January 8th. How do you look at the Mountain West right now? Like, do you have tiers that you put these top 5 or 6 teams in right now, or is it too early to say that?
Well, I'll say this: if I'm going to tier it, I'm gonna break it off after that top 5. I think Boise State will still kind of make some noise. I'd be surprised if you want to say the top 5 do kind of separate themselves. I'd be surprised if Boise State doesn't find a way to knock off 1 or 2 of them. I don't know if they'll get back into that top 5. But right now, I don't know enough about the top 5 to say for sure I can break those tiers off. I do think Colorado State at their best, when they were beating up on Creighton the way they were beating them up, and when their offense is clicking, and yes, they got a great point guard, I think Colorado State can still make a case that maybe they are as good as anybody in the league. San Diego State, of course, when everything's clicking, and it sure looks like it has been the past 3 games for them, obviously has a case for number 1. New Mexico, Utah State, even though Utah State knocked off Colorado State, it was at home on Saturday, and Nevada, all 3 have still looked really, really good at times, but are still largely unproven, right? We can't say that they've established themselves as a clear-cut title contender, but when it's unproven, that means it's still kind of at least a little bit of a question mark. I think all 3 of those teams at their best might still be able to make a case. So if I'm power ranking them, I'm going San Diego State 1, Colorado State 2. But I do think just entering the second week of league play, I won't say definitively yet that I can break off any one of those top 5 teams just yet.
And with those 5 teams being really good, metrics are good, and there could be a situation at the end of the year where potentially this could be a 5-bid league. Do you think that's realistic to think could happen?
Yeah, I think it's realistic. I'm not going to predict 5. I'll say 3. Not 3. I'm sorry. I'll say 4. But the math works out where if entering league play, if you got 5 teams in the top 40 of the net and 5 teams in the top 40 of KenPom and all the metrics that the team sheets that the NCAA selection committee uses, if you're in the top 40 and you don't fall, you don't have a hiccup against a Wyoming or an Air Force or a Fresno State, who are the teams at the bottom of those rankings, and maybe a San Jose State, their rankings aren't very good right now in those computer metrics. If you don't have a hiccup against one of those teams and you avoid bad losses, as long as you kind of hold serve at home and maybe split on the road with those top 5, it's going to be interesting. I think there's enough quad one opportunities in this league because of those net metrics for 5 teams that yeah, I think there could be a path for 5 teams. Now, like I said, you can't have very many hiccups at all, and that means Boise State could be a little bit of a spoiler because while their metrics aren't bad, they're one of those opportunities that you better get to make sure you have a solid quad 2 win. So it's a kind of interesting layout of the league this year because Air Force picks somebody off every year. UNLV at home probably still picks somebody off at some point. Boise State's probably going to get a couple wins. I think if those top 5 teams can really avoid the really bad losses, the Fresno States, Air Forces, and Wyoming's, I still think there's a possibility that 4 or 5 is really the more realistic end season reality than 3.
Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal, with us right now on Jon and Jim. We're talking Mountain West basketball. What would you do at the end of the year, Jeff? I'm always curious in this scenario. Jaden Ledie's played like an All-American. He plays a different position than Isaiah Stevens, who's played like an All-American. If at the end of the year, and there's still so much basketball, understood, and there's other really good players, if not great players, in the Mountain West, but if at the end of the year, Jaden Ledie is still, a 20-10 guy, and Isaiah Stevens is doing everything he's doing, how do you determine the best player in the league? Is it based on where they finish in the league?
It's interesting because I've never been a hard and fast believer in the best player on the best team, right? And I know a lot of coaches certainly are that way. I haven't been. If all things are really equal otherwise, and it's really hard to differentiate, then yeah, I'd probably go with which one of those 2 guys probably led his team to winning it, maybe head to head. I know they don't play against each other head to head, but maybe which one of those teams led his team to beat Colorado State or the other way around to beat San Diego State. I'd certainly lean that way. I hate to say this. I would say some voters probably would lean. I would hope that it wouldn't enter my mind, but Isaiah Stevens being a 5th-year guy and kind of showing that he has done this, he's kind of done it in a variety of ways. He took first of all, he was freshman of the year when he first got in the league, and then he took a back seat to David Roddy for 2 years and kind of made David Roddy look like an NBA player. I don't say that meaning he's not an NBA player. David Roddy's a very good player, but a lot of that had to do with Isaiah Stevens as a point guard helping him develop. And then Isaiah Stevens kind of took back into the lead role, the alpha on that team. Jaden Ledie, though, he's been unstoppable. I think when Jaden Ledie, I don't know, maybe it's just the power forward thing. When the power forward is dominating the game, it just looks so much more intimidating, more dominating than when a point guard does. When Isaiah Stevens dominates a game, it's beautiful to watch. Their offense is beautiful, but it doesn't look as dominating. Maybe it's just because it's a smooth looking game as a point guard, or as a power forward, it's just like, what are you going to do with that guy? I think those 2 guys have separated themselves from the rest of the field, though. There's some players having good seasons, but it's clear those 2 right now are the clear cut, 1 and 1A.
Do you see any surprises in the Mountain West Conference, or do you think that the top 5 teams that we've talked about, it's going to be between those teams, down the stretch here, going into obviously conference play and into the tournament?
I'd say, well, to date, I would say the 2 biggest surprises to me are Utah State and Boise State. Mm-hmm. Utah for different reasons. Utah State because they've played so well, with not one single point returning on that roster, and Danny Sprinkle taking over a job. So I think Utah State's been the surprise to date. And then I think Boise State's been a little disappointing because I thought their point guard situation would have, frankly, played out better to this point. And I think that's what's really been holding them back. I do think if they can get good point guard play, consistent point guard play, and they've started to at times, I think then Max Rice kind of rolling off into that shooting guard role where he kind of hits all these awkward shots and annoys fan bases all around the league because he's a coach's son. And Tyson Dagenhart's just really good. I thought they would be better, and they haven't been. Down the stretch, if I see one surprise or if I want to predict one surprise, I really don't. I don't think Boise State is going to get back into the title contention mix. And right now, I just think those top 5 teams are better than everybody else in the league.
Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal, with us right now on Jon and Jim. So, Jeff, you know the story because you were there, covering San Diego State's run all the way to a national championship game. But you go back to last year, and the Aztecs had trouble with New Mexico. There's no question about it. They lost at Viejas to the Lobos, their only regular season or only home loss a season ago. And then, of course, the Lobos led into the final seconds of the game before Lamont Butler hit a shot at the buzzer, in Houston. So, What is the expectation for Saturday at the pit? I mean, both of these teams have games in front of it where they're on the road and they could get tripped up. I think New Mexico's on the road, right? In Vegas?
Yeah, at UNLV tomorrow.
So, you have that UNLV, San Diego State at San Jose State, but assuming those teams can find ways on the road, this is a pretty compelling matchup this weekend, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think what New Mexico has going for it when it's at its best is it does have. I mean, first of all, there were 5 preseason All Mountain West players, right, and 2 of them were on the Lobos, and right now those 2 players aren't their best player. Their best player is Donovan Dent, a California kid, Mr. Basketball in California a couple of years ago, who's now a sophomore and has become the best player on this Lobo team. But Jalen House, if he keeps his emotions in check, which I think the Ajas fans can remember, he revels. He just loves when people boo him. He loves when everyone on the court and in the arena hates him. If he plays that up a little too much, he gets in foul trouble like he did at Colorado State, only played 18 minutes at Colorado State. He was actually plus 10 in the game, and they were actually winning until he got into foul trouble. And he really hurt his team because he got some silly fouls. I do think referees certainly know him by now. But when he keeps that in check, Jalen House is really good, and he can be really an X factor against any team anywhere, and that includes San Diego State. Jamal Mashburn Jr., on the other hand, he's missed 7 games. He had a thumb injury. He doesn't look like he's healthy yet. And if his mid-range jumper, which is a low efficiency shot anyway, but he takes it more than anybody in the country, and hit it at a fairly decent rate, at least for a mid-range shot anyway. He hasn't been hitting those. So, Jamal Mashburn Jr., if he doesn't get his shot back, if his thumb continues to bother him, they really are missing 2 guys in Jalen House, and if he gets in foul trouble, and Jamal Mashburn Jr. that they just had last year that made the matchup with San Diego State. So, in my opinion, it was in UNM's favor last year in both of those games. And if they kept playing them, I think UNM would have kept having an advantage just because of the matchups. It was the only matchup I think San Diego State had that was really put them at a disadvantage just because of those small, quick guards. But this year, I don't know, because Jamal Mashburn Jr. is not really hitting shots, and Jalen House has tended to get even more emotional than he was. So I don't know if Donovan Dent as a sophomore is going to be able to carry them through this one.
A year ago at Viejas in that New Mexico 76-67 win, Jalen House 29 points, Jamal Mashburn Jr. 22 points, those two combining for 51 points in that Lobos victory. In San Diego, the 2 teams will hook up again in Albuquerque this Saturday, right here on San Diego Sports 760. Jeff, really appreciate your time and your coverage for Mountain West basketball fans in the Albuquerque Journal, and we look forward to doing it throughout the course of this 2024 season. So thank you.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
All right, Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal. Big week ahead in Mountain West hoops. Meanwhile, the national championship game is well underway. Michigan scored on their first drive. Washington trying to even it up on a 3rd and goal and is unable to do so. I don't think I can do live play-by-play, but I will. So
great. Now we're going to be taken off the air.
Each team has had one drive. It's going to be presumably here 7-3 Michigan.
That was so in depth. I felt like I was there.
Now, remember, Jim had said earlier that I did too, that in the Penix McCarthy conversation, I'm taking Penix. On this 3rd down play we just saw a moment ago, he just had a wide open man in the end zone that he missed, right?
Yeah, he kind of missed him.
Yeah, not great.
I had someone on Twitter try to tell me that J.J. McCarthy had a better overall season than Michael Penix.
Yeah, I don't think
what
that's
world
right.
are you living in, buddy?
Yeah, no way.
Michael Penix had a far superior season to J.J. McCarthy. No question about it. Did he have a little better QBR or whatever rankings they want to put in college football? Yeah, he did. But guess what? Every other stat that was put up there, Penix blew McCarthy away.
I will say this, having watched one drive from each team, it's like if you're Washington, you can't be kicking field goals from inside the 10-yard line.
No.
You're going to have to cash in here. You've already given up like an 85-yard drive.
Look, if Michigan decides to run the ball 50 times today,
that could be a problem.
That's going to be an issue for Washington because it looked like on their first drive, they did whatever they wanted in the run game. Michigan did.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were Jim Harbaugh right now, I would run it 50 times. Look, go win a national championship at any means necessary. Don't try to make J.J. McCarthy look like something he's not. Give the ball to the running backs and pound it down their throat.
Well, here's the other thing there. This game might not feature a lot of drives. We've had 2. There's 4 minutes left now in the first quarter. Washington just held the ball for 6 minutes. Michigan held it for 5 minutes. If Michigan plays keep away, holds the ball, runs it, 5-6 minute drives, scores on those drives. I mean, Washington's offense is so elite, but if you take away a possession or 2 or 3 by holding the ball, it could be tough for the Huskies here tonight. We'll see. I feel as if Penix has to be the best player on the field. And again, had an opportunity there in the first quarter that he missed on. It's early, but Washington's going to have to be close to perfect in this game.
He has to be like Vine Young or Vince
Vine Young. Yeah, that's what you put on social media.
He needs to have, like, truthfully, though, he needs to have a Vince Young versus USC type of game, I feel like. And like you said, be the best player on the field. Yes. If Washington is going to win tonight, Michael Penix Jr. has to be the best player on the field tonight. No doubt about it.
Agreed. We started the show talking about the moves that have been made around the NL West over the last 3 days. The Giants trading for Robbie Ray, who's coming off Tommy John, but has won a Cy Young and will likely return at some point in the second half of 2024. Plus, they have him for a couple of years. Then Teoscar Hernandez, who had 26 home runs, 93 RBIs for the Mariners last year in a pitcher's ballpark, has had very good offensive years before. He's in his early 30s. $23.5 million to the LA Dodgers as they just add on, right? With the trades they've made, Glass now, with Yamamoto, with Ohtani, now with Teoscar Hernandez. And then there's the Padres. They added Go and Matsui. And Matsui's going to be introduced to the media tomorrow, Jim, at 4:00 Pacific.
I saw that.
But it's not exactly the, Teoscar Hernandez move, if we're being honest. It's not going to hit 30 home runs.
No,
I don't think as an eighth inning pitcher.
Well, the problem with that is they still don't have a left fielder. They still don't have a center fielder. They still don't have an everyday DH. They still don't have a better option at first base. They still need bench help. And they don't have a left-handed starting pitcher.
But other than that,
they're great.
They're ready to go.
They're awesome. They're going to probably be the best team in baseball other than that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. Like it's the needs they have on this team. To me, I feel like are way too big to just use from within to elevate and put in those positions. I just don't see it.
Here's where I'm curious, because we talked about this last night in the wrap-up show, and I agree with what you're saying. And then I assured you through my sourcing that they will have a left fielder on opening day. They will field a lineup of 9 players. Yes. I was told as well.
They'll have human beings out there in left field and center field.
But to your point, it's like, is your left fielder Jackson Merrill, or is your center fielder Jacob Marcy, or is it Cody Bellinger? Right. There's a big difference, obviously.
And it won't be Cody Bellinger.
It's not. But the point is it going to be a major league veteran on a 1-year deal?
Yeah.
Will it be a player via trade, or will it be a rookie that hasn't played above AA?
Yeah, I think it'd be a big mistake to have Jackson Merrill play the outfield this year. I mean, talking to Kyle Glazer last week, and he was adamant if they are deciding, because they have log jams where Jackson Merrill would play.
Mm-hmm.
If they're thinking about putting Jackson Merrill in the outfield this year, he's got to be in the minors and play left field for an entire year.
Right. You can't just plug him in like, hey, we have a need. He's never played outfield, so let's just put him there in the big leagues.
Yeah.
That's asking for trouble.
That to me would be a gigantic risk, and one that I don't know if would pay off.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't think it would.
I don't think it would either.
Yeah.
And same thing with Jacob Marcy. I know that he was the MVP in the
Arizona
Fall League. But guys, I mean, if you're asking him to be your everyday starting center fielder, at least, or split time with Jose Azokar, again, asking for trouble here. So you got a month. And even if they picked up Jerkson Profar in a 1-year deal, and they had Jerkson Profar in left field, and they had Jacob Marcy or somebody else, Jose Azokar in center field, that's still not good enough. That's still not good enough. Yes, there are actual players out there that will fill those spots, like you said. But starting outfield for the Padres this year on opening day, if it's Jackson Merrill or if it's a guy like Jerkson Profar they signed on a cheap 1-year deal, or Jacob Marcy or Jose Azokar, that to me is not going to cut it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. And again, it's like it's hard not to compare the Padres roster to other rosters, but it's like you're trying to vie. You're not trying to get by. You're trying to vie for a playoff spot. You're trying to vie for, you'd want to be better than 4th place in your own division. Like, the goal isn't to be the 4th best team in your own division. Like, I'm not saying you have to win the division, but if you're going to be the 2nd best team in the division, you're going to do it with 2 rookie outfielders playing 100+ games. That's not overly realistic.
You're asking for it.
Again, that's not necessarily what they're going to do. but we don't know what they're going to do. They've been awfully quiet. They're waiting for value and bargains. We haven't heard from their ownership group in multiple months since Peter Seidler's passing. It's just been flat out quiet. Couple of moves out of the KBO and out of the NPB, but even those are question marks. So it's just been really, really quiet, and we're really, really curious to see how this ends up.
Yeah, I just think that, oh my gosh,
14-3 Michigan.
this is a problem.
A big problem.
This is a problem.
2 huge, long touchdown runs for the Wolverines.
I take back what I said. I was wrong. I think I'm
We'll
going to be.
see.
I think I'm
It's
going to be
first
wrong
quarter.
here. I think I'm going to be wrong here.
Yeah, this.
I think I might be wrong.
This isn't a good start.
I don't know if Washington can stop Michigan.
So far, the answer is no.
Because they are
Carving them up.
handling them in the run game.
Yeah.
Not even. I mean, I would not have JJ McCarthy throw more than 10 passes this game.
I know, it's true.
He had a nice pass in that drive.
He
though.
did, but they might score 60 points without him throwing more than 10 passes in this game.
This is going to be a problem if Washington doesn't score like in their next
On this drive, yeah, they have to score. I
Oh
agree with
boy.
you.
Oh boy.
What were we
Well,
saying?
I hope they make that video game announcement in the first half.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
Yes, I agree with you. Remember last year's national championship game was 70-7.
Yeah.
I hope we're not heading for that.
Maybe Jim Harbaugh won't have a game where things go wonky. Maybe he's just going to have a dominant,
Or maybe he will.
dominant game
It's
where
first
they
quarter.
win 34-10.
First quarter. There's time. Washington can score. I think. They're going to need to tonight. That I know. They're going to need to score here.
Not
tonight.
Not good, guys.
Untouched 46-yard touchdown run for the Wolverines. They lead 14-3.
Is that good?
2 minutes to play in the first quarter. I don't even know what we're talking about. But
we're talking about the Padres, and then I saw
yeah.
Michigan just rail off a
That's right.
50-yard run.
All right, here's what we're going to do on the other side, as we do on Monday afternoons. An Aztec rewind. San Diego State basketball now 13-2. They've won 6 straight. Their last loss on December 5th. They'll play San Jose State tomorrow at 8 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760 in Northern California. Our pregame coverage will begin at 7:30, but we'll have an Aztec rewind for you on the other side. Earlier, I think I took something from Jim's back page. I forget what it was. Oh, the EA Sports story.
Yeah. You did. You took that.
So you're going to have to replace that coming up in the back page with a different story.
Yes. Also next, a list of Padres rookies that could potentially make their debut in 2024. I want to see how many you think are going to make their Padres debut in 2024.
I'm excited for that.
According to Fangraphs, which put a bunch of rookies that could see time in 2024.
Okay, I'm excited for that. Plus the Aztec rewind, plus Jim's back page. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, hey guys, it is Schaefer for Loan Pronto. The new year is here. Maybe you want to be credit card debt free. Maybe you need cash to kick off 2024. You can call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit can get you $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help you turn that equity into cash. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Think about that. Use the money to pay off those credit cards. You can pay off personal loans, do a home improvement project potentially as well, like adding solar panels. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact, so that rate you have, that 3% rate you have, is protected. And with Loan Pronto's Express Equity Line program, 90% of the time, there's no need for an appraisal. So you can get your money super fast. Again, the money you need to kick off 2024. Get yourself on solid financial footing here in the new year. You can call Loan Pronto right now. Here's the number, 619-207-4336. Again, 619-207-4336 or loanpronto.com. Call 619-207-4336. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
All right, this update's brought to you by Toyota Carlsbad, relaxing friendly since 1972. We got some problems here, John. Michigan up 14-3 and driving on Washington. They're going to have 1 million rushing yards tonight. That game is in the first quarter. Excuse me, the first quarter just ended. We are at the start of the second quarter there in the national championship game. And the Aztecs return to the AP top 25 polls, coming in at number 19. Next up for the Aztecs, they take on San Jose State tomorrow night in San Jose. 8 p.m. tip-off, 7:30 pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. Get smiles when you drive miles to sell your car to Toyota Carlsbad. Enjoy relaxed and friendly service and get paid the same day because Toyota Carlsbad is looking to buy cars. Details at toyotacarlsbad.com.
All right, so I figured out the issue here so far for the Huskies.
What is it?
They've allowed 174 rush yards in one quarter.
That's not good.
They can't tackle anybody.
So, and 229 yards overall. They've had 4 big plays already. And like Jim just said, they are, I think, in the red zone right now, leading 14-3 or right near the red zone.
They're averaging 19 yards per rush.
Let me put it this way. If Washington doesn't get a hold here to a field goal attempt,
it's over.
I just don't see how you could overcome a 3-score deficit against the Michigan Wolverines.
Because there's no need for Michigan
to do anything,
to throw the football. They have Corum and Edwards. By the way, Edwards, 2 rushes for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns. Is that good?
It's very good.
If they score here and they go up 21-3, yeah, JJ McCarthy's not going to need to throw another pass.
Right.
They're just going to run it down their throat, and as they should, if they're smart, which I don't see why they wouldn't do it. They need a big turnover or something. And
they need something big.
And then a quick score, because if that doesn't happen,
yeah, I hope we're not heading for last year. I mean, last year was an absolute disaster. The national championship game in LA between Georgia and TCU was truly a disaster.
Yeah.
For everyone involved, I think. Nobody wants that for a championship.
No.
Nobody wants that for a Super Bowl. You don't want to see a 70-7 or 60-3 type game. So nobody wants that. This is when the sport is fully on display for everyone to enjoy. I hope we get a good game, but right now it's all Michigan. All right, we'll get to the Aztec rewind in about 5 minutes. What was this thing you teased about Padres rookies?
Let me pull it up here. Hold on.
Oh, great. Good prep.
I have it right here. Hold on. So Fangraphs did a projection of San Diego Padres 2024 imminent big leaguers.
Ooh, exciting.
Well, it is, because this is
I can't wait to hear some of these names.
This is what this team is going to have to, and fans are going to have to look forward to, and we're going to have to look forward to for the next couple of years.
Stay in your driveway.
So as of right now, the number 1 prospect in the organization, Ethan Salas, they project him to be at the big league level in 2026. Would you agree on that?
He'll be up by 2025 because it's the Padres. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
He'll get his first.
AJ Preller has no chill. No, none chill.
Okay. So what are you asking me here?
Well, basically what I'm saying is, of these players, right, how many will we see in 2024?
And you're going to now read you're going to read 19 names to us. Let's hear them.
There's only like 17 names.
Okay.
Ethan Salas, would you agree? No. Jackson Merrill.
Yes.
Iriarte.
No clue.
Drew Thorpe.
I would say unlikely.
Lesko.
I would say unlikely.
Graham Pauley.
Probably.
Adam Mazer.
I have no clue.
Yuki Matsui.
Yes.
Jacob Marcy.
Probably.
Randy Vasquez.
Yes.
Usako.
Yes.
Alec Jacobs.
It's Jacob, right?
Jacob. Yeah.
No idea.
Stephen Kolek.
No idea.
Sean Reynolds.
No idea.
Corey Howell.
No idea.
Giovanni Cruz.
No idea.
Garrett Hawkins.
No idea.
Cole Paplam. I don't know. I'm saying that name completely
wrong.
Oh,
absolutely. We'll see. No idea.
Basically.
So what? Okay. So that was what? 17, 18 guys.
17, 18 guys.
Okay.
And of the 17, 18 guys, I would say we would see at least 9 of those guys.
Ooh, interesting. I mean, how do we even know? But probably, you're probably right. I mean, some of the guys are going to be on the big league roster to start the year. Matsui, Go, Vasquez. Did you mention Burrito or no?
No.
So there's 3 or 4 guys on the big league roster right away.
Right. There's more guys.
Right.
But my point is, like, in 2024, you're probably going to see a lot of youth.
Yes, definitely.
Because they
one
can't,
way or another.
Yeah, they can't go out and they can't sign big league talent right now to the contracts that they're demanding on the open market. And within the organization, Preller has been known to put guys up sooner than expected and potentially rush talent through the organization to the big league level and hope they perform. So is that a good thing for this team? Is it a good thing that we're probably going to see of those names that I just read off there? A couple I probably butchered. I apologize.
If you're listening.
We're probably going to see 9 to 10 of those players. And is that going to work out well for the Padres?
It doesn't overly concern me because it's how are they used? I mean, if we see 9 or 10, but it's someone for a spot start and it's Jackson Merrill in September, like that is the normal progression of minor league farmhands to the major leagues. But if you're overly reliant on those players, then it could be problematic. So it's all about the context of how those players are used. I think Matsui and Go should play prominent roles. Vasquez in your bullpen should play a prominent role. If all of a sudden Ethan Salas is here August 1st, you got problems. Okay. You got big time problems.
Major.
So it's about how these players are utilized when they do come up and what they're asked to do is what I would say. But there's going to be an influx of youth. Whatever the cliche is, it's just going to happen. Hopefully they can do it and manage to win and not overly rely on the youth.
Yeah, because the best thing is to mesh it all together, mesh the youth with the veterans, with the star power, and hopefully you get some, players to hit. You hopefully get, you hope Jackson Merrill hits, right? You hope Dylan Lesko hits. Robbie Snelling, whenever he is going to come up. Graham Pauley is a guy that kind of has flown through the, system. You hope a couple of those guys hit because then it just relieves so much pressure on the organization to go fill those holes with free agents or trades.
All right, good news. Washington got a stop, thankfully. So Michigan attempting a field goal already leading 14-3 early in the second quarter, but that is what Washington had to have any chance to win this game. I'm sorry, you couldn't go down 21-3. They've gone down 17-3.
Still teetering, though.
With a field goal that was snuck inside the left upright. Don't sue me. Whoever has the play-by-play rights. All right, it's 17-3 Michigan. Aztecs coming off a win on the hardwood at Viejas this weekend. Let's get to this.
Okay.
All right, here's my takeaway from Saturday. The Aztecs had their full complement of players in the rotation. Reese Waters, ankle, 22 minutes off the bench. And then Miles Bird, turf toe, played 16 or 17 meaningful minutes. Here's the other takeaway. They blew the doors off UNLV early. It was 10-0, then 18-3. They won the game in the first 6 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up winning by 11. They're 2-0 in the league, 13-2 overall. And I think you couldn't really ask more of them right now at 13-2 overall.
Yeah, I think their non-conference schedule, they did as good as anybody would hoped. I mean, obviously, everyone would wish they were undefeated in their non-conference, winning at BYU and at Grand Canyon, but having a huge win versus Gonzaga was much needed for them, for the resume, and starting off conference play how you would expect them to, with 2 big wins versus teams that they're better than.
So Jaden Ledee playing like an All-American, 20-11. Micah Parrish had 14 points. Crowds were great this week, Fresno State, and then UNLV. But now you go to the road, and San Jose State's improved. Got to win that game Tuesday. Again, there's so many opportunities in this league with the top 5 or 6 teams. But Tuesday you got to get on the road, and then Saturday will not be easy. I'm telling you right now, playing at the Pit against New Mexico. Lamont Butler hit that shot a year ago. To clinch the regular season title at the Pit. That will not be easy, but you beat San Jose State and you're in a good spot, a great spot, 14-2 overall.
John, this team is battle tested.
Battle tested. Cliche.
No, this team's been through it all. They've played in pretty big games, like national championship, Final Four against number 1 seed. Like, they have played in every type of environment that you'd want a team to play in. So yeah, it'll be a tough game for sure on Saturday, But I'm not like thinking to myself, these guys aren't going to be ready to play.
I agree with you.
And they're going to be nervous.
I agree.
Like, come on. They're 4 of their 5 starters in their lineup. National championship game last year. I think that was just a little bit bigger game than this Saturday.
No, it's a good point. I think it'll be a really good game, but I think San Diego State will be up for the challenge. I'm expecting a really good game on Saturday between the Aztecs and the Lobos. All right, Windmill Farms, the college area's natural grocer. They've got you covered for all your game day needs, featuring organic farm fresh produce and meats, an amazing craft beer selection, plus a full deli with award-winning sandwiches. Again, you can visit windmillfarmsmarket.com to see their weekly specials. That is windmillfarmsmarket.com. So Washington got that hold, so to speak. They still trail 17-3.
They need a touchdown.
They need a touchdown.
Badly.
I was thinking the same thing. Like they've got to score a touchdown here.
Yeah, you'd think try to
put some pressure on Michigan. You score a touchdown here, it's 17-10.
Try to bleed the clock as much as possible on this drive, get 7, and hopefully you go into halftime 17-13, 17-10, like at worst.
If you can stay within like 10 at the half as opposed to 14 or more.
Yeah, if you're down 24-3 at halftime, it's dunzo.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Even 20, even right now, you feel like
they're in trouble.
Big trouble problems right now for Washington.
Big trouble problems.
That's not even a sentence or like makes sense. I understand.
We'll see if the Huskies can score some runs here.
Big trouble problems, guys. Big trouble problems. How many runs can they score?
On the other side, an update from the national championship game in Houston, plus Jim's back page next.
Trouble problems.
All right, hey guys, it's Schaefer. Just telling you about our friends over at Windmill Farms during the Aztec Rewind. I was over there last week for lunch. You should get there this week for your lunch because it's quick and easy and affordable. And with a sandwich card you can pick up at their deli, your 8th sandwich is free. They really pride themselves on using fresh, high-quality ingredients and keeping those prices low. And again, with the sandwich loyalty card, you get your 8th sandwich for free. You got to check it out for lunch. You got to get over there for all your grocery needs as well. They've got you completely covered for your game day needs with the organic farm fresh produce and meats, the amazing craft beer selection as well, the deli we've told you about. They've been in the grocery business in San Diego for over 20 years. They support local businesses like Harris Ranch and Mr. G's Salsa. Trevor and his family have been in the grocery business again for more than 2 decades. You don't even have to live or work near the college area because you can find Windmill Farms on Instacart. Have your groceries delivered directly to your doorstep. Literally, there is nothing easier than that. So if you're looking for specials, you can visit windmillfarmsmarket.com. Again, that's windmillfarmsmarket.com. And again, a reminder for San Diegans to shop local, shop at Windmill Farms. All right, so we're freaking out over here.
Ugh.
It's 17-3 Michigan. Washington around midfield goes for it on 4th and 7. They've got a wide open receiver.
Whose
It would have
fault
been
is
at
it?
least a 30-yard gain. You're saying it's the receiver. I mean, I'm sure the receiver has some accountability there, but Penix just has to hit him. He's open by 8-10 yards. You just got to hit him.
I think Penix threw it, and the receiver all of a sudden then turned the opposite way and stopped his momentum, and then that's why he didn't catch the ball, because he was all turned upside around. It's
just not been good. Penix, though, has had 2 opportunities. He had a down 7-0 on 3rd and goal. He missed a guy in the end zone.
Yeah.
And then there on 4th down, he's got a guy wide open.
But
You have to at least put on his hand. You got to give him a chance to catch it. It barely even touched him.
But if you watch the route and you watch the receiver, it just did not look like a clean route. And I think
Maybe
Penix,
not.
he didn't make a great throw, but I think if the receiver runs the right route, I think that is a catch.
Well, the game is literally on the line right now.
It's if Michigan scores here, it's donezo. Right?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, we're just rooting for a good game. We don't really have much of a dog in the fight. I mean, you're rooting for a good game. I mean, this isn't San Diego State against Michigan tonight. I'd be freaking out. That'd be pretty cool. If it was San Diego State against Michigan tonight,
if it was San Diego State,
cool.
well, one, we wouldn't be on the air talking about it. No.
We'll get it to you when we can. We're not connected yet.
At the same time, you'd be freaking the F out, just like you were for the national championship game for basketball.
I'd be freaking out.
Would you be freaking out more because you've had this experience now? You were at a national championship game.
I'd be freaking out for both.
Okay.
I don't even know.
Yeah, you're right.
Just thinking about it makes me nervous.
I know.
All right, Washington got to stop. I love how we're doing play-by-play in this game. All right, let's get to this.
FCC, come on down. All right, if you happen to have gone to the national championship game tonight and you're listening to us, one, what the hell are you doing? But two, the drinks there at the national championship game, expect to spend a lot of money. Not only were tickets just outrageous, like $4,000 get-in price.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
But the drinks there, guess how much they are. So
a beer?
So 2 specialty drinks. Alcohol.
Okay, specialty
drinks. They have one for Michigan, one for the Huskies.
Mm-hmm.
All right. One's called a Victor's Lemonade. The other one's a Bow Down Blitz.
I'm guessing the Victor's Lemonade is for Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guess how much these drinks are.
Specialty. When you use the specialty word, I'll say $22.
Both have Sky Vodka and blue.
23.
20 Syracuse.
How big are they?
Did I say that right? 12 ounces.
Oh, no more than 22.
Like a regular glass.
$25.
22.
$33.55.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
I went, what?
33
in stadium
Hey, I want
drinks.
2 drinks. That'll be $80, sir, with tip. I mean, come on.
In stadium drinks.
I mean, it's maybe more than $80 with tax and tip.
Probably.
That's crazy.
It's
but if you spent, to your point, if you spent $3,000 on tickets, what's another $80 on a drink or two?
Yeah, and if I spent $10,000 on tickets,
jeez,
I'm also probably not buying drinks.
You're probably not worried about the $30 if you're already $10,000 in.
That too.
How are there 70,000 people with $3,000 or $4,000 for a ticket?
Well,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, but also at the same time, I bet you a lot of them. This is like a once in a lifetime experience, and it's like, hey, just put on the credit card.
We'll worry about it later.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Chris Farley,
the comedian,
his signature is very, very rare. There's rarely any signatures from Chris Farley anywhere.
I didn't realize that.
Well, there is one out there that was graded by I don't know what they were graded. PSA doesn't say.
Okay.
But it's a graded, authentic Chris Farley autograph.
Mm-hmm.
Sold at an auction for guess how much? It's one of the most disputed among authenticator. I can't say.
I'm not helping.
Authenticators.
That's correct.
Authenticators, right?
That is a terrible word for you. Stay away from it. That is a terrible word for you.
Wow.
Wait, so what are you trying to say though? It's
hard to like confirm it's his autograph.
But it has been confirmed.
It has been confirmed, yes.
And you're saying it's rare to have his autograph, and he's of course no longer living, so it's going to be a lot of money. I'll say this is $100,000.
Okay.
Is that too high?
Yes.
25 grand.
You're way off.
$900.
It's only $2,500.
Oh,
Hey, that's dead on then.
I said $100,000. Like it's Michael Jordan or something.
Chris Farley, I mean, he's famous, but he's not like.
$2,500? This is just on a piece of paper?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
What would you even do with that, really? Put it in an
I don't know.
album? Put it in a frame? Put it on a wall?
I don't know what I
next
would
to
do
his
with a Chris
photo?
Farley autograph.
Oh, what are we doing? And by we, I mean this football game.
Hey, Washington, can we
It's a
score some
problem.
points here, guys? The Pop-Tart Bowl,
Yeah.
probably the most talked about bowl of the bowl season.
Including this one.
A 1-of-1 Pop-Tart Bowl mascot action figure.
1-of-1.
1-of-1. Made by Readful Things, which makes a lot of, I guess, 1-of-1 action figures.
Cool.
Made this action figure and it's sold on eBay
That's amazing.
for guess how much?
I'll say more than the Farley autograph.
100,000.
I'll say way more. No, I'm going to say 5,200.
All right, Brent. An action figure of the
40
Pop-Tart.
grand.
40 grand?
Yeah.
40 grand. The Pop-Tart Bowl's been around for like a week. I'll say 5K, and I think that's high.
Guys, $1,000.
1,000? We should have gotten in on that.
That's not enough.
$1,000 for the Pop-Tart.
How do we not get in on that?
I don't know, but it looks pretty cool, right? Look, at this.
Yes.
The Pop-Tart.
Yes, need.
I kind of want that
Need and want.
desperately.
And finally, John.
Star Wars, or not Star Wars, but Disney is suing a car company for having their logo be a Star Wars themed logo.
Okay.
So their car wash is a Star Wars themed car wash, and their logo it's like the Star Wars logo, but the R is like has like a car in it.
Gotcha.
So they kind of like are trying to
Mimic it.
manipulate it so
Yeah,
it does
sure.
not look exactly like it.
And they don't like that.
Yeah, Disney's suing them. I think Disney's going to win
Probably.
for plagiarizing the Star Wars logo. It's just a little,
But
little mom
can't
and
they
pop
just
car-
leave? That's what I'm saying. Leave them alone.
Yeah, little mom and pop car wash.
But like,
place.
isn't Disney going to be fine even if a car wash has like their logo on it?
Disney
Come on.
does not care, man. They hold no
Apparently.
bars.
What do they hold now?
Hold no bars. Like they
Okay.
just don't. They're not going to stop until they own everything.
This was quite the show, Jim, today. This was quite the show.
Yeah, I give my performance today like a C-.
Padres points. What else? A big troublesome problem time.
It's a Monday and it's
And
not a
then
good day for me.
Authentic.
I played like Washington
authenticator.
today. I'll be back better tomorrow. I
All
promise.
right. If you missed anything today, sportsSD.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify. Find us on social media at Jon and Jim. We're back tomorrow at 3,
Maybe.
recapping this game between Michigan and Washington. For Brent and Jim, I'm Jon. Keep it here. It's San Diego Sports 760.
Okay.
Okay.